The Grey Man Podcast is a veteran-run platform dedicated to sharing authentic experiences from current and former service members. These stories are shared to foster connection, understanding, and support within the veteran community. Episodes may contain raw, emotionally charged content that some listeners may find distressing. Listener discretion is advised. The views and opinions expressed by guests are their own and do not necessarily reflect those of the Grey Man Podcast, its host, or affiliated partners. The Grey Man Podcast assumes no liability for any statements, opinions, or representations made by guests during interviews or discussions. G'day team, welcome to another episode of the Grey Man Podcast. I'm your host Harley Fox. Today's guest is Geoff Pocock, an Army veteran from 2nd Combat Engineer Regiment. He also worked as a recruit instructor, which is where we met, and where his love for the Army started to diminish. We'll get into that later. Since leaving the Green, he's become a firearms instructor with Queensland Police Service. He's someone who's trained for war, led with grit, and now serves his community in a whole new way. Geoff's story begins in a rough and turbulent childhood, one that shaped his resilience early. His military career took him across Australia and overseas, not into combat zones, but into humanitarian aid missions and international training exercises that demanded just as much discipline and heart. In this episode, we're going to dive into the mental toll of service, including his raw reflections on suicidality, the realities of life as a combat engineer and as an RI, a recruit instructor, and finding purpose beyond the uniform as a firearms instructor. What it means to lead, survive, and rebuild. This one's not easy, but it is necessary. Let's get into it. Don't forget, guys, hit that subscribe button and support the channel. Thanks for listening. Thanks for being here. Once again, guys, this podcast does hit some pretty hard and heavy subjects, including suicide ideation from Geoff and myself. If you are struggling, please don't try and go at this alone. Give somebody a call, your friend, your family, whoever it is. If you don't feel like discussing it with them, give Open Arms a call. There's somebody there to talk to 24/7, and it can really help. Love you guys. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your service. Thank you for all that you are. And thanks for being a part of the Grey Man Podcast community. Cheers.
How's that?
Beautiful, mate.
Beautiful.
The soothing sounds of Geoff Pocock.
Yeah. It's a weird thing to hear publicly said, I guess. I don't know. Are we starting? When do we start this?
We can start right now. Welcome.
Sure.
Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me, mate.
No worries. I've known you for a while, and I guess we'll get into the fucking where we met.
Yeah,
stage.
definitely the weirder way to meet as people, especially in this interaction now. Yeah.
Cool, man. So obviously you've watched the pod, you know how it rolls. So I start off with influences in your early life and talk about your time in service and where we are now. So where'd you grow up? You a Brizzy boy?
No, I'm a dirty Mexican. So I'm born in Melbourne originally, and then I immigrated up here when I joined the Army. So
Yeah, right.
yeah.
What was childhood like? Mum and dad, siblings?
Yeah, pretty difficult on that front actually. So I have one younger brother, an older sister, and I have two older brothers that I met a few years ago.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and then
You grew up with a step parent, or your dad fucking sowed his seeds and you didn't know?
kind of. It was. She's never going to watch this. So my mum, she had a previous relationship with my sister's dad, and then they split, and then she met a guy, I won't say his name, but he was my dad, and then that was all good. He was, for my end, like a really okay dad, never did anything too strict with me. I mean, he was South African and a little bit rough and a little bit more on South African, and he was a bit more on the strict side and corporal punishment side of discipline for a young boy. But being older now, being a dad now, I can see where his heart was in the right place. And he could see the life I was living with my mum was quite poor, housing commission, renting, house to house sort of thing.
Yeah, right.
And after they had split up because of the violence that him and her had, she found a new partner, had my younger brother. And so he filed for full custody when I was about, 11, maybe 11 or 12.
The new guy?
No, my dad. He was living
to take you full time.
Yeah, in St Kilda. He wanted to take me away and have me live with him in St Kilda so I could go to Melbourne Grammar, which was a really nice school in Year 9. And got to a point in the court cases, I got to pick one, and I picked to stay with my mum, as most young boys inevitably do, just because it was what I knew. And he, at that point, said, look, I've always had suspicions that Geoff wasn't mine. If I'm not going to have custody, then I don't think it's fair that I should have to still pay all of this child support. And then from there, a paternity test was conducted, and turns out he was right. I wasn't his.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, I wasn't his to begin with.
Fuck, it's crazy. You knew that, but he still wanted to take you full time.
Yeah, and that's kind of why I give him a bit more of as a dad, I give him a bit more of a pass on some of the things that I never observed, that I heard, I got told by my sister and my mum that he did do. He was a bit on the drink and a bit violent when he was drunk. Again, nothing with me, but certainly with my mum. And by the time I was old enough to understand that, that was sort of behind him. And then, he disappeared. And that was kind of like the real fragment between me and my mum when she told me that, because 12 years old, getting told that your dad's not actually your dad.
Big, yeah.
Yeah, pretty big news. And then when she told me the guy who was my dad,
so she knew the whole time.
She had her suspicions, I guess. He was a cop down in Victoria. I knew him. He was a family friend. I'd met him a few times. Her and him had been best friends for most of their lives. And in hindsight, like if you saw I'll show you photos afterwards, you'd be like, yeah, that's clearly your dad, Geoff. like you look fucking identical. How do you
have barbecues and shit, like looking at you, looking at him?
Have barbecues, yeah. I'm pretty sure, because when he actually came in the first time I met him, like I was a real nerd as a kid, and this is the first time I've ever admitted this. Like I did cadets and scouts and all of that stuff, right? And so I was like an Air Force cadet when I first met him, and he was a reserve warrant officer. So like a WO.
A real reserve warrant officer.
Like he was
in the chocks.
Yeah, in the chocks, he was a warrant officer in the army, but he was an MP. So, but when he came in, I was like, oh, this is so cool because you're like in the army, and that's really sweet. And I remember he looked at me and looked at Mum and was like, didn't say anything.
Oh, you dog.
Is that you? Poor planning.
I know.
We'll be right back, folks.
Yeah.
We're back.
So
where was I? So, he looked at me and looked at my mum, and I think he knew. So I was really excited. I was like, okay, well, this dad that you've told me is a piece of shit and abuser and all of that sort of stuff. Like, he's gone. Get to meet a new dad, and then he just ghosted. He disappeared.
Oh, true.
For a long time, and
a bit overwhelming, or.
Yeah, at that age as well. Like, so by the time I'm condensing it over a few years. By the time I was about 14, hitting that end of puberty, getting really rebellious, and my grades dropped off. I went from wanting to be a pilot in the Air Force, just not caring, not studying for anything, getting more interested in girls and partying than doing anything. And then our poverty, increased a lot more as well. So a lot more moving, a lot more instability there. And that just kept driving a bigger and bigger wedge between my mum that's never been repaired since.
Yeah, okay.
And then that kind of all culminated actually in 2021. I get a random call from my mum that I hadn't spoken to in a while. She's like, hey, your dad's dying. He wants to sort of make peace with you. I think it'd be really helpful for you as well for medical records and stuff for you to try to do something about that. So I finally got to speak to my dad the day he died. So I called him. Right. Yeah, called him up a couple of days after my birthday.
In 21?
Yeah, 2021. So while I was at Kapuka.
I was going to say.
Yeah. And was like, hey, I know what you went through because I knew his story from Victoria Police. He'd been shot in the head and had a lot of PTSD stuff going on. And having my own mental health issues, I was like, I don't necessarily agree with the decisions that you made, but I can certainly see how you could have made the ones that you did and why you maybe thought it was best to just not screw things up a little bit more. So yeah, we kind of made peace, and I spoke to his sister, and yeah, a couple of hours later he passed away. I went down to Victoria for his funeral. Got to meet my now new older brother, Mark, who surprisingly was, of all things, the CSM of Charlie Company at Kapuka, like the year before I got there. And then my other older brother, Ron, who lives in Spain. So yeah, that's my family. It's the family tree is just a spreadsheet, really. It's just a mind map thing of like different interconnected lines.
No boring fucking childhood there.
No, definitely not. Yeah.
That's funny you talk about the abuse and stuff. I remember my biological mum used to tell me that my dad had beat her. I didn't believe it because I just thought she was full of shit in every regard. But then I met my dad like in my 20s and spoke to my brothers and sisters and told them, and they're like, oh yeah, he definitely did that.
Yeah. It's kind of like, careful how I word this, like I am very similar to my mum in a lot of ways, like personality traits, and obviously that can sometimes clash. And I'd never excuse anyone being violent, but like my mum knows how to push buttons. And you put that sort of personality with someone who is unstable with alcohol, and it's kind of like, that's going to inevitably happen no matter what you did. And the moment they were separated, again, any time I was with him, he was like that guy who I thought was my dad. He was fine. Like he was strict. He'd take the belt with me, and when I got older and I'd be like, the leather doesn't help anymore, he was like, well, let's try the buckle. And I did that once, and I was like, all right, fair enough. Swore at his mum once when I was probably about 10 for the first time, and grabbed me by the back of the head, put soap down my mouth, and like proper scrubbed my tongue to get that sort of thing out of the way. That sort of, very strict, no elbows on tables, please and thank yous. Yeah. Everyone was, if it was a friend of his, it was sir or Mrs. this until they let you.
That child respect your elders stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, a little bit of an older school way of thinking. It was just a bit more of an archaic way of enforcing it. So yeah, I don't look back on it as like I was abused or anything like that in that sense. My mum and my sister might consider it a bit differently than I do though.
Hard training, not abuse.
Yeah. It's challenging training. It's hard training. Okay. This is not hazing or bullying. It's hard training.
Nice. So, do you have any jobs and stuff going up?
Right now, I work as an instructor with Queensland Police.
No, growing up as a kid.
Jobs, sorry then, my first job was as a kitchen hand out at Montsalvat in Eltham. So scrubbing dishes, which...
Getting pots thrown at you by the chefs and stuff.
Yeah. It was like this tiny... so Montsalvat's like this old art gallery thing that was built by, I guess, a bunch of communists and stuff like that. But it's really beautiful, and a lot of people in Victoria use it for like a wedding venue. But the castle thing that they've built it in, the kitchen wouldn't be like much bigger than yours, for example. And you're feeding and catering for, at a wedding function, like hundreds of people sometimes in this tiny condensed thing. So I'd start work at like 1, start prepping everything, helping the chefs prep. And then I'd prep some other things for them, and then they would do their prep, like their personal prep to get ready for shift. And then they would start prepping the food. And stuff would get thrown at you quite a lot. If you were in the way, you'd get burnt or you'd get hit. But like I turned 18 for that job. As an 18-year-old, like that was a really great job to have because all the front of house staff were all backpackers.
Yeah.
So that was a good social experience.
Gals.
Yeah, gals. And at the end of the night, no one pays attention to what happens at their weddings. They're like, whatever alcohol's left is left. So you just grab whatever food was left over and what drinks were left over, and at 1 a.m. be sitting there feeding on the wedding party.
Nice. Beautiful. How long did you do that for? A couple of years or just a short term?
Oh, God. It would have been about, I want to say about a year. I was always kind of limited by what I did with like living situation stuff.
Oh, yeah. When did you move out?
I didn't really ever move out. I was kicked out a few times. I didn't really move out until I met my ex-partner, Steph, would have probably been considered moving out before I joined the army in 2013. So 2012, I would have moved out properly, I guess. And before that, I just sort of couch surfed, moved around different places. When I was working at Montsalvat, for instance, the guy who got me the job, Rob, he was a friend of mine, and he was the cool one of the group because he was a few years older than everyone, and him and his girlfriend had their own place. Oh, so I'd sleep on his couch after work for the weekends.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
What was your when you were poor? Why were you so poor? Your mum wasn't working.
Yeah, mum never worked for as long as I can remember.
Just on the dole. Just
on government payments, housing commission, rent, sort of stuff like that. She was collecting some child support from my sister's dad and my dad for some of that until everything changed, obviously, when I was 12. And that's when, like as I said, our poverty really went from there.
Yeah.
A lot more moving. Like there was a period where I lived with my grandparents for a couple of years just because I didn't like the environment that she was trying to move us into. So it sounds like I'm really disparaging my mum, but it's just, it's just what happened was my younger brother came along. His father was abusive. Like he hit me a couple of times. I watched him hit my mum, my sister. I was about 7 at the time. But luckily he split from my little brother and us when Robbie was about 2. And then the next guy after that was a bikie down in Victoria. Lived out in towards Glenroy sort of area. Mum moved my little brother and her towards that. I moved in with my grandparents and my sister moved in with her dad for those few years because that was just not a good environment to be around at all. So just very poor from that sort of front. Never had any sort of income. She had a low calcium deficiency from pregnancies and stuff like that. So she would clamp up sometimes and wasn't allowed to drive. At least that's what she would always tell me. Mm-hmm. So she couldn't go to work anywhere. Yeah. But always managed to afford a couple of bottles of Johnny Walker Red and some cigarettes. Which, when you're younger, you don't realise. You're like, oh, things just cost things. But as you get older, you're like, well, how could you afford that but not food and rent for like a couple of weeks?
I was just talking about a mate. Talking about being poor with a mate. I never mentioned it on my podcast, but I was saying that my mum was a sex worker and stuff, and we always had money. But when she stopped that when I was 10, then we were poor as fuck because she wasn't making money anymore. So she was just we're on welfare. Yeah, I was talking about it with a mate on Tuesday. What we used to eat, like those poor kids. I was like, mate, my favourite thing was like spaghetti, fucking spaghetti, like Italian spaghetti. And just cook it up and you put some home brand butter and a bit of salt on it.
Just be done with it.
Gourmet, mate.
I was really terrible. Like I was a fussy eater as a kid, which I feel like now that I've got a son, every kid's fussy. It's just your job as a parent to just deal with it. When you're poor and you're my mum, she just goes like, oh, well, I'll just give him what he wants. So growing up, it was like find a food that like Geoff and Robbie like. You like it? Cool, you're eating this for the next 2 months until you fucking hate it. I remember we had once which was like cheese on bread and it was just grilled cheese in the oven. And I was like, oh, this is amazing. This tastes nice. And then after 4 to 5 days of that, I'm like, please, can I have some meat of any kind? Anything to stop this torture.
You said you liked it.
Yeah, you said you liked it. And you're like, well, I do. Or just sausages. You're like, all right, I like meat, but can I have something else besides this? And again, I was fussy, so I probably didn't help the situation at the time. But that was growing up poor was always don't let on that you like it too much or you'll be eating it for a long, long time. You got to really like it then.
What did any of that sort of rub off on you? Do you have the I'll never be like that, or you find that some of those traits sort of just innately fucking came out?
Definitely. I think I read a thing the other day that it was when you grow up, listen to your podcast. I wouldn't say I grew up as rough as you did at all. But when you grow up at any form of, I guess, discomfort or disadvantage, you don't really have a lot of positive role models in that sense. But you learn very quickly what you don't want to do. And certainly with my son now, I look at how I interact with him or things that I want to try to pass on to him. And I might not know exactly what I want to do, but I know like the boundaries of stay away from this stuff. Like a good example would be the guy who, I'll just call him T. T, when he was raising me, he would try to help feed me like really nice food. Like he'd cook me steaks and veggies and stuff like that. Really good example. But he'd be like, no, you're not leaving this table until you've eaten all of it, which is not a good, healthy thing to do either.
Yeah.
And then sometimes I'd be sitting there till like 10 p.m., 11 p.m. at night with like stone cold rubbery steak, just trying to like force, or Brussels sprouts, just trying to get it down. And that led to like, waiting till they would look away, shove it in your pockets and then like throw it in the bin later on, sort of stuff.
Yeah. That was pretty common back in the day. Eh?
Yeah, I feel like that was a universal experience for most kids our age.
Yeah. That was pretty brutal. Yeah, I remember we learned about that at uni. It's like, it's really bad, like forcing a kid to eat. Like it's built in bad sort of neural patterns. Like and then when you're an adult, and you're trying to watch your weight and you've got a full plate, you're like, well, I've got to eat it.
Yeah. Portion control becomes like a real problem because whatever you get given, you're like, I must finish this. Like, yeah, it gets bad. Like there's some good parts to it. Like I don't personally like the idea of, I see some kids and parents, they're like, oh, what do you want for dinner and what we're going to cook you? And it's like, well, no, just they had we eat what we're eating. And if you don't like it, that's fine. You don't have to eat it. You don't have to finish it, but we're not going to necessarily cater to what you desperately want unless it's like a genuine reason. Like I want chicken nuggets. It's like, well, too bad. Tonight we're having pizza, whatever. But yeah, then just like leaving it. And I find even with my son now, like whatever he ends up eating, it might take him like an hour of just snacking and he'll go to it, but he'll eat it eventually. And if he doesn't, then he's obviously not that hungry. He's okay. Like it's okay to go a meal.
It's crazy how they fucking eat cold food, eh? Like
it's weird.
Are you done? No, I'm still going. Are you sure? It's fucking
the worst
cold
part.
Pasta.
He's not even 2 yet, so he just runs up to me with like soggy, like half chewed toast from like an hour ago. He's like, son, and I've got to like look at it and be like, yeah, sure, man. I don't want to discourage you from eating. Like, yeah, it's delicious.
No, thanks. I'm good.
Yeah, no, cheers, mate.
Yours. Yeah,
you enjoy it. You've earned that meal, mate.
Cool, man. So what planted the seed for the military stuff? Was that your warrant officer dad?
No, I don't actually know what started it originally. I was always one track mind on military in general.
When did you start cadets?
Started cadets when I was 11 and a half. Yeah. And before that I was in scouts or Cub Scouts from age 6. It's like I've got there's family photos of me when I was 4 playing with like airplanes and stuff like that. I was very big into the Air Force at the time. I loved aircraft. I had that weird whatever, if it's autism or whatever, where you just obsess over like one thing and you're like, I know every type of airplane that has ever existed in World War II. Like,
pretty sure that's autism.
Yeah, it's probably pretty sure it's self-diagnosed. So it's just something I always had. I always knew I wanted to go into the Air Force. And then as I got older, my grandfather, I found out he had served in the Air Force. So that kind of then reinforced it. He served in RDU, which is Aircraft Research and Development Unit, which was down in Laverton, but it's now, I think, in Adelaide, like doing testing on parachutes and stuff. So I was like, that's really cool. So there was that connection. And then did Cub Scouts, loved that sort of like being out, doing things with my hands, being outside. I aged out of that, and then Air Force Cadets was available. So I joined up with Air Force Cadets, and I stuck with that pretty much all the way through high school until it was time to enlist. Turns out you can't be a pilot with really shit grades, funnily enough. So, and I'd kind of gone off being a pilot by then anyway. So I put an app in for Air Combat Officer, so like weapon systems and stuff. And I got told, yeah, right, no, here's a list of what you can do and what you've passed your aptitude testing for at the old U session. And I was like, well, screw you guys. Like after high school, I'm like, I don't want the Air Force anyway. I was in my real rebellious stage. So I tossed that in. I got a job, like I said, at Montsalvat. Then I was a door knocker for a little while. I just
Like trying to sell people shit.
yeah. I kind of fell into it by accident, just from a mutual friend. She did it with her boyfriend, and she was shit at it. She was objectively terrible at doing it, and I could always kind of talk, and I was really good at high school in English. So she was like, "Can you help me? Like, give me some advice." So I just went and did sales for her, and then she ended up doing really well. Came back and was like, "Do you want a job with us? We could use people." Sweet, it's good cash, it's good money for the amount of work that you have to do. So I did that for a few years. Did uni for a few years, just because I was kind of floating through nothingness at that point in life.
What did you study?
Degree in social sciences. So it was politics, history, sociology, and anthropology.
The one that everyone does when they don't know what to do with their life.
Yeah, the one that you do when you're just told, like, hey, you've got a free summer. Do you want to go to, like, you know, enroll over uni over the years? And it's like, yeah, I'll do that. Yeah, and then I was like, all right, well, air combat officer doesn't work. Tried again the following year. This time I applied for combat engineers. So this was 2010 I got rejected from the Air Force. 2011 I tried for combat engineers for the first time. And I had this Air Force lady at the application thing be like, hey, look, you're really young. It doesn't sound like your family has any like positive male role models in your life. Have you considered the impact of you leaving on your little brother, who was maybe 10 at the time? And I was like, no, I just want to join the army and leave. Like, that's kind of all I'm thinking about now. So she rejected me on that one to say,
really?
like, yeah, you don't have enough life experience to progress through. Don't worry, the war in Afghanistan's not going anywhere. Like, you're fine. I'm like, all right, okay, I'll reapply again in 12 months. Reapplied in 12 months, got through. That's how I ended up in the army. And then, like, halfway through basic training, they're like, war's over, team. Like, you know, we're pulling out at the end of the year. And I'm like, fuck. And, like, obviously you meet people in your career later on. And, like, if I had have just ignored that, like, Air Force lady, I would have arrived probably at 2CR right for MTF4, and it would have been a very different career after that one. But yeah, that's the timing the way it is.
Mm-hmm. How old were you when she told you didn't have enough life experience?
I'm trying to think now, because going back a while, I would have just turned 18.
Okay.
Yeah, just turned 18 or about to turn 18, somewhere around there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty fucking wet behind the ears.
Yeah. Yeah, and she wasn't exactly wrong. It was just the reason she gave me I was a bit jaded about. I was like, what do you mean I've got to discuss me leaving the army with my younger brother who's not even my full brother? Like, I just want to get that out of you.
Yeah,
I don't want to be poor anymore.
Yeah, who's she to fucking give you family counselling advice?
I was like, who's this Air Force officer to tell me what the army's all about? Because by then I was like, screw the Air Force. Like, they've told me no, I hate them. I didn't want to join them anyway. Like, firmly in the green then. So,
yeah, nice.
Yeah.
So was it pretty crazy going through Kapuka as a lifelong fucking cadet?
No. I was I was the shittest recruit you could possibly imagine. I work with one of my RIs, like one of my instructors now, and he remembers me as one of the shittest recruits, like memorable ones that stick out to you, because there's always the ones that stick out. I never really had a comfortable run through it. Growing up the way I did, like, health and fitness was never a priority, as you know, most kids in poverty experience. So that was always a struggle. Like, the physicality of things, always had to work for it. I think I left Kapuka weighing 60 kilos, wringing wet.
Yeah.
Couldn't swim. I never had swimming lessons growing up either. So, like, I failed the army swim test when I first got there. Like, I was that dude on the side of the pool with the RIs, like, hitting with broomsticks and stuff like that to stop them trying to climb it. That was me, which I'm sure you're laughing about knowing me now, like, what I'm like. But, yeah, that was me. I was that recruit. I was the difficult child.
Yeah, right.
And then, like, it culminated, like, to put into perspective, my final dress inspection. So when you do your full-time course, when I went through, you had, like, your final ceremonial dress inspection on the Wednesday, and you would march out on the Friday. And on that Wednesday morning, I cut my parade belt in half.
What?
Yeah. So I to like reverse it a little bit. The week before you're outfield, you know, like tired and sleep deprived. We did a first aid serial, and there was this, I forget his name, but he was also a bit of a shitbag. But he hadn't cleaned his rifle in the entire time. It was just filthy. And he got shot at the MDP. So we had to like casualty drag him to get him out of there. And I just got tasked with like carrying his stuff. So I've gotten my rifle, I've slung my rifle behind my back, I've picked his up, and I'm doing like the fighting withdrawal with his rifle, and it jammed up halfway. Like it just stopped shooting. And I was like, oh, this is not a problem that a recruit like me can fix right now. So I swapped rifles, I finished the exercise, and then we came back to like the debrief area. And the Corporal Saxby was like, all right, everyone, place your weapons down. We'll have a chat about what we just did. It's like, yep, cool. And then I put my rifle down. Everything's good. I pick up old mate's rifle, and it's on instant. And there's like an obstruction, and there's a magazine. And I'm like, well, in my head as a recruiter, I'm like, I know that that's not sat. Like, even I know that's not okay. What should I do? I should fix that, right? Like, that makes sense. I should fix that. And how do you fix an obstruction? So I was like, oh, well, I'll take the mag off and I'll clear it, and then I put a new mag on, and then I release it, and then I fire the weapon. So in the middle of like this AAR, Sax is like just watching, and all of a sudden, and then me standing there like, it just went off. It just like I pulled the trigger like 100%. I bush popped, and he was like, with some choice words, him and the other are like, put that rifle down, please. So I got given a bang stick, a big stick to carry around instead. I got charged on so we marched down the main street of Kapuga, go see my OC for a dip sum, whatever, get 4 days rompers. So like I finished rompers the day before graduation. So I'd like go do whatever we were doing for the day, like parade rehearsal. And then I'd get all my DP1, full pack, full webbing, like the old school Vietnam webbing, do a kit check, put it all on, then do double time drill around the drill square, like left, left, turn, right, turn, every second pace. And then I'd finish that after an hour, go to dinner. Then I'd come back. I'd paint the company rocks, whatever color. I think it was, Charlie. So it would have been green. I'd clean out the storeroom, do that till 10 p.m. And then because my RIs were nice, they were like, hey, you still need to have your room and uniform and inspection orders. So we'll allow you to do that under red light. I was like, all right, cool. So I'd stay up all night doing that. Went on a few nights, and then the Tuesday night, they must have had a foyer lesson on like trimming the excess on their belts that I didn't get.
Oh, yeah.
So like 10 minutes before we're all formed up on the Wednesday morning, my roommate's like, hey, have you shortened your belt like from last night? I was like, no, what do you shorten the belt? What do you mean shorten the belt? It's like, you got to trim the excess that you don't need on the inside, get rid of it because it looks ugly. We're like, fuck. So running around to find a pair of scissors finally, or like I'm already in ceremonial uniform, like, okay, fine. Cut. Oh, thank God. Done. I'm standing there waiting for on parade. They finally call on parade 26. I pick up my belt, and I've got a buckle in one hand and like this much of a belt, and then a buckle in this hand with like the rest of my belt. And instead of like cutting the inside part, I just cut the right spot on the wrong side of the buckle. So I've just completely destroyed my ceremonial belt, as on parade is called. And I just snapped, and I was just like, I can't, please go get Corporal Saxby or, one of the other RIs. Like, please, I need help here. And he's like storming down. He's like, why the fuck is, recruit shit dick fucking summoning me? Da, 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 da. And he walks into the room, and I'm just standing there like this. And he's like, what have you done? Like, just dropped all of the RI act and was just a human. He was like, how have you even achieved this? We fixed it. He gave me a new belt. And so, yeah, that was me like 2 days before graduation. Like, I was a terrible recruit.
Nice.
Yeah.
When did you get better?
I did. Some would say I never got better, man. It took 12 years, I guess, to get somewhat better. No,
didn't make you fucking take any mercy on your recruits as an RI?
No. If anything, it probably just had like some deep-seated trauma that I just imparted. No, I think I got better as I had time to just sort of catch up. IETs wasn't much better back then. That was a trial by fire, but I had some really good section commanders then who didn't just like correct, they also like guided. So,
And you're a combat engineer,
yeah.
searcher?
Search. We didn't really you don't have like a specific
Roles?
role at that point. You do as you get old, as you go through. But when you get to the regiment for the first time, it's just you're in a combat engineer squad and you do a bit of everything.
Oh, yeah.
But I had a good section commander, Robbo, in training, and he knew I couldn't swim. So every day after we'd finish whatever the school's day was, he'd pop me and the other guy who struggled to swim in the car. He'd drive us to Holsworthy Barracks because the school wasn't there at the time. And he'd, to be fair, his swimming lessons weren't great. It was just go in the pool until you drown and then I'll pull you out and then we'll keep doing that until you don't drown for as long. So he gave me a lot more time to develop and after a while, like I was fine with it. So
Yeah. So you went to straight to Brisbane or?
Yeah, straight to Brisbane, 2CR into 2 Squadron.
What was it like getting out of the family situation and into a new family, the
Great.
Green family?
Great. It was simultaneously terrifying, but also exactly what I hoped it would be.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, I had a really, I came in at a really good time where everything from like the immediate chain of command, like the troop sergeant and the troop commander, the senior diggers that were there, the NCOs, like everyone was really solid. Had a lot of them had like Afghan experience, and a lot of them to this day are like I'm catching up with my old troop sergeant in a week or two. I go hunting with him. A lot of them have gone to lead on like very successful careers in SOCOM, and there's me. So yeah,
Cool. So it's you went to Malaysia or Solomons or
I went to Philippines.
Philippines?
Philippines and Fiji were my 2 overseas deployments. So
What were you doing over in the Philippines?
Philippines, we went over as part of Op Augury. So like after ISIS invaded Marari, they identified that there was a lot of training shortfalls the Filipinos had. They were really good in jungle fighting, but not so much in urban terrain. And so they came up with like this idea of sending a training team over to the Philippines to help them improve their skill sets. And that was in like shooting, like so they'd send a couple of infantry guys over for that, sniping. And one of the other ones was breaching, explosives and search training. So I got real kissed on the dick with that trip. That was a Gucci trip to go on.
Yeah.
We got sent, so majority of the Australian contingent got sent down south to Mindanao, which was like the southern island where all the fighting was. And then the rest of us got sent north to Manila to live out like the good life there with their SOCOM units.
Oh, yeah.
And so we would just do like a 2-week rotation where we would go to a SOCOM base, train them for 2 weeks, pack up over the weekend with our own drivers and our own logistics, drive to the next location, do it all again, and did that for like 4.5 months.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, that was an amazing trip. They had a reservist captain in charge of us, and then below him was myself as a corporal and another corporal who was from SOA. And then one medic and like 5 diggers. That was it. We were the only Australians in the area. So it'd kind of like the equivalent of working up here in Brisbane, but your nearest like Australian headquarters being down in Sydney to give you oversight. So there was a lot of freedom given and taken in that trip. So,
What sort of shenanigans you get up to?
Oh, all kinds. Like we were given like this GPS tracker thing for them to keep an eye on us. So on weekends, we were allowed, our drivers could take us to pre-approved locations like their version of Westfield and stuff for shopping and for a bit of feed and stuff to get off base, which the guys down south never got. They were like locked on like typical army regimental sort of style. We could wear T-shirts and shorts, whatever we wanted. And for, because some of the guys are still serving, I won't get them in trouble, but we found out at Clark Air Force Base, which is like the main one that you fly into, there's an SM Clark, which is their Westfield, like just next to it. And then if you look on the map, just south of it, like within walking distance of this place is a more dodgy area kind of like, you know, some of the, where you go like get health spas and sort of stuff like that. Like
Lady
those
boys.
I mean, hey, look, if that's what, you could, there was probably a few of those actually. That sort of environment, we're like, well, they just know where we are based off this GPS tracker. And our like drivers are really happy with whatever we give them. So we just paid our driver like, hey, here's like $60 Australian, a couple of thousand peso. Just go watch a movie for a few hours in the Westfield for us with this. And all you have to do is just sit with this GPS tracker. And he was like, okay. Rolly's like, yeah, sure, I'll do that. So he just sat there watching movie after movie and after movie in a cinema, getting paid like 3 times his daily rate by us. And we've just walked out of the Westfield across the road to go to this other area to have some drinks and stuff like that. So
Nice.
the other one was like the Special Forces guys. Day one, we were like, as part of the search package, we had a bunch of training aids of IEDs. And we were like, if you can get, as a joke, we were like, all the staff will buy, you know, the end of course drinks if one of you guys gets to the end without an IED catching you. So like we were trying to get them to be a bit more aware. And they're like, yep, no, that's fair. And then right after class finishes, an hour later, they rock up and invite us down to the pool on base with drinks and food and everything like that. And we were drinking with them until about 2, 3 a.m. in the morning on a Monday. And we're like, hey, lads, we need to go to bed. Like we've got, you know, work and school tomorrow. And he's like, yeah, no, that's fine. And then we talked to him afterwards, like, why were you doing that every night? He's like, well, if you were up with us drinking all night, you had no time to go and put out IEDs and booby traps for us. So that was our thinking. And we're like, you spent probably 6 times more on us than if you had to just let us catch you and we would. And he was like, yeah, but we won. That was their mentality. Tiny little special forces sergeant. He was great.
Yeah, those fellows are pretty small.
Yeah.
Cool, man. So it was a 4.5 month trip.
Yeah, 4.5 months. So yeah, 2 back-to-back rotations on that one. So
Yeah. Then back to Brizzy.
back to Brizzy after that.
You were one of the lucky ones that never left your Brizzy posting, were you?
I mean,
Other than for
if you don't count Wagga, yeah.
RI, yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, you could call it lucky. I was never against moving. It kind of just turned out that way just through the posting cycles. I actually always wanted to go to 3CR up in Townsville. Every time I've been up to Townsville, I love it up there. It's a good unit. I'm out now, so I don't have to have any real allegiance. It's definitely, I think, the better of the 3 regiments.
Yeah.
Just from the guys that I know, that I look up to, that are from there, that I've, you know, worked alongside and done promotion courses with. Like, it's real solid guys come out of Townsville.
Yeah. Well,
I think it's just the mentality they have, or the time they have to be training. Yeah, I never
less distractions like we have.
Yeah, less coffee and less distractions to have. But yeah, I did 2 years down in Wagga as a RI unaccompanied. So that was my time away.
Yeah. And any memorable sort of training exercises or anything from your time in Brizzy?
I mean, there's a few. There's a few good ones, but like, I'm sure with you as well. It's like, yeah, you with your exercise, they all kind of just blend into one. Like memorables, kind of. There are some that I remember for being really good exercise that I learned a lot out of. Some that I just remember getting away with some wild fun times. Mm-hmm. Like if I think about it, the one that sticks out to me was probably 2017, and this was just after Reds had died from 214 in the AS4 accident. Sorry, not just after. It was the same exercise just before, and we were working with some assault pioneers from the battalion, from 6th Battalion, and we just basically organised, like, hey, I was the 2IC of the section. My seco had organised for some cross-training, so we went out to basically just the beach out at Shoalwater. Didn't get it approved by anyone. We just kind of just took ourselves and went, and we had some bacon in the back of the PMVs. We had a little barbecue, went full driving down the beaches, went swimming. But the problem was like we had disappeared for so long that they'd sent out a search party, and the path that we had taken went through a live fire arty trace. So like when we were trying to come back, we got held at a checkpoint by this like gunner being like, you can't come through, we're firing artillery. We're like, we're meant to be back 2 hours ago. How long is this going to take? He's like, it's a 4-hour mission. And we're like, We're out of comms range. No one knows where the fuck we are. We've taken like another unit with us. So these assault pioneers are missing. It wasn't even their car. They had taken a 7 SISB two transport troop, I think it was. It was their drivers and their cars. So like real bad. And finally we got released. And as we're driving back towards where the harbour was, I see headlights in the seat I was on. I was like, hey, to my sec, I was like, hey, wouldn't this be funny if this is like a search party out there looking for us? And he was like, yeah. And as we pull up the PMVs, they're like, are you guys engineers? And we're like, yeah. He's like, we've been looking for you for 7 hours. We're like, oh yeah, we went out for some training and we got held up by the Artie thing. And then when we finally got back, the most memorable part of that was watching the transport SISB guys just get grilled by their CSM, like a field interrogation style. Like, where were you? And credit to them, they didn't budge. Oh, no. They were just like, we were out training 8-5 so and so, like just giving their PM keys and Rango. And like, I don't know anything, sir, because I think they knew like they had 2 sections of engineers and a section of pioneers that were like, don't you dare flip on us. Like, this is one in, all in. We are all going down with this ship if you don't crack. So that sticks out. That was a real good trip, that one.
Nice. Were you on that you said just before the red accident, were you on that trip?
Yeah, so I was
on that exercise.
I was on that exercise. I wasn't present at that point. Wellesley, who was I'd done sub 1 with, he was the lead treater for Reds. So it was,
He was a 6 RAR dude, was he?
Yeah, 6 RAR. I think you've met Wellesley, I think.
Don't know.
He's in Air Force now as a filthy ADG.
Does he?
Yeah, transferred over. But yeah, he was the CFA for it. Yeah, like even that just makes me think of some wild things that happen in Army that you look at it, you're like, how did this not go wrong? Like so many things can go wrong so many times, and it's just by pure luck, I think, that they don't. Like, so after that incident with Reds, we had that pause exercise for a few days. We finally reconvened, and this is when I ran into Wellesley again. We're going to do a nighttime attack. So my team and I were taken out. We were told to be BNS, battlefield noise simulation. So we were white boxed. And we had to go to this position, and we had to set up like as if their position was about to be mortared. So we set the simulation up, put some explosives out, put some tape around it for safety. And then our boss was like, hey, so they know who we are, just mark yourselves with like high-vis vests and put blue silems on your helmets so that everyone knows that you're not part of like the ORBAT. Like, yeah, cool, that's fine. So the company position's like on this mountain, and then they had the enemy position, which is like on this other feature here, and then DFSW was on a third feature sort of back here in support. And the scenario was that this company would get artilleried off the position, and then DFSW would like provide suppressing fire onto this third position direct lay to stop the advancement. That was at least my memory of it. And we're standing there and we're like, everything's set up, it's pitch black. And I ran into Wellesley. He was on a Javelin. And we're talking. He was like, yeah, it's really cool. We're just waiting, it's just fine. And then over the radio, they're like, yep, DFSW is about to start on the MG line. The enemy position's marked with blue silems. And like, there's like 4 engineers and a boss, and we're looking around, we're wearing blue silems. And then we look out like through by, and you can see like faint, it's hard with those optics like to see, but like there's blue out there. But from like, we were just looking at it on the map, like from their position, like we would be superimposed like from their like field of view. We're like, they probably don't know that which one of us it is. So we're like hastily trying to bury our silems in the ground to like hide them before this thing kicks off. And it's shit like that. And that was after this, this training incident. And
this is with live fire.
This was a live fire. They were live firing MGs onto this position, live firing jabs, BNS going off like Comp B slabs to like simulate the mortars. So company level training, and like something as simple as someone somewhere in the chain of command just going, oh yeah, tell the engineers to wear blue silems because that's obviously the one they've denoted for like non-operational use as a colour. And no one's thought like, could that go wrong? So there's like a lot of those instances where you're like, shit, that could have been a messy one.
Oh, yeah, fuck.
Another one I think of was like I watched a guy during a Gurkha assault just walk to go get phone reception. And then like he stopped. You could just see his like phone in the dark bouncing along, and then he stopped and he starts running back. We're like, what happened, Steve? He's like, oh, I fell into a pit with a bunch of Gurkhas and they looked really scared, like they were going to hurt me, so I just ran off. And like he had interrupted a foreign army's like assault onto the UODF.
Where was it? Where was that?
That was at Shoalwater.
Yeah, right.
So just shit like that. You're like, what? Who's running this army?
Fucking hell. Seems like the biggest problem is fucking rollovers these days.
Yeah.
Non-stop.
Yeah, I get a bit of a wheelie sort of like weird feeling about it. I even messaged some of the guys at my old unit when it happened because saw it was an inaugural, and a couple of years ago the serious one where the two PMVs, the 40M rolled and the PMV hit. That was my troop. I wasn't there for it, but that was, I discharged, and then the following 6 months later, like one of my section commanders who I'd really come to admire, like he's permanently ruined from that rollover, and like still physically hurt from it. Another one that I think Billy's been in 3 rollovers now, probably by the sound of it.
Fuck.
Yeah, just very, not through any fault of his own, just bad luck.
How are they all rolling over? Just top heavy or something?
I mean, the PMVs are like always known to be top heavy if you're like not driving to the conditions, but ignorant opinion is like, I kind of feel like there has to be something that's a bit more play than just operator error. Like it's getting to a point where it's so many training accidents that happen, but speaking from like experience where the priority is never put on training. Like when you're at a supervisor level, like sergeant level, the battle that you fight to get your guys time to actually train and become proficient is arguably like the biggest reason that as an army we see like sergeant burnout, because it just gets to a point where you either convert and you go like, oh, I don't care about training anymore, I'm just going to become an admin dude, and you become the very thing you hate, or you just bang your head against the wall enough to get concussion and give up.
Yeah, right.
So I feel like they just need more time to learn how to drive to conditions, anticipate hazards a bit more, because apparently there was a civilian car involved in that one. I don't know. I hope everyone's okay. So, and then obviously there was
The latest one a couple of days ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think there was. I saw in the photos.
Yeah. And there was obviously the bucket rollover the other day with old mate from 3RAR. So
Yeah.
he needs to do something, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. I'm sure there's people on some pretty fucking hefty pay rates getting fucking in rooms trying to work it out.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad that the buckets have been like finally put to bed. From what I saw, they said it was like they've grounded the fleet permanently. But like my question as a civilian now is like, why is it taking deaths to get to that point? Like we saw that with the Taipan. Like we had the four members die from that Talisman Sabre. I remember I was on that exercise. I remember when that happened, it came over the radio. Like it takes these severe incidents for Army to finally like admit they're like, hey, something's wrong with this platform. We should probably stop.
Yeah.
But
that was a massive thing. Jim Jeffries talks about that a lot because his nephew, Max Nugent, was one of the pilots. But he reckons it was like a big cover up and stuff, and they pulled them all apart and took them out to the desert and buried them in the Taipans?
Yeah, I have. I'd be very careful. I have a good friend of mine, a real good friend, and if he's listening, he'll know who I'm referring to.
You know who you are.
You know who you are, mate. But he is out now. He had at least knowledge of some of the recovery efforts and stuff like that, and he was very familiar with the Taipan platform. And I remember when it first happened, I spoke to him. I was like, hey, man, what's your opinion on this? And he was like, oh, it could have been any number of things. But when it was the defense kind of started leaning towards like that it was a pilot error, I think, and he'll tell me if I'm wrong, I think that's probably why he ended up getting out. I think that for me and my experience and why I got to the Army, it's very easy to accept that the Army doesn't love you. Like you're like, it's a one-sided relationship. But you never expect the army to just deliberately turn on you. Like they're two very different things to happen. And I think, yeah, when those sort of incidents happen and there's such a willingness for what appears to be a cover-up or anything like that, it gets really hard to back them. It gets really hard to justify it after that.
Yeah. So when when I met you, you were keen and green.
It's an understatement, yeah.
What did the love for the green sort of develop as years went on, or until it wasn't?
Well,
or did you just get in and you're like, oh, I'm fucking all about this life?
I don't think it was I got in and I was like all about this life. I think it was I started to get wins, and when you get a win, you get addicted to that, like, this is good. Like growing up the way I did, I was never really fit, as I said. So for me, I kind of fell into this this master of like skills sort of mentality where I think I might have even told you as a recruit instructor, maybe it was like, you need at least one of three things to be successful in the army. You need to be really fit, really well liked, or really good at your job. Like, and if you can have two of those three things, you'd really killing it. But you know, like there's that guy, he's not very fit, but everyone loves him at the barbecue and he knows what he's talking about. You let the fitness slide a little bit.
Yeah.
Or he might not be the best at his job, but you know, he's really fit. He's good on the CO's challenge. You'll keep that guy around. And even if he's like the most awkward, weird serial killer vibe dude, but he's fit and he can do his job, you're like, yeah, just don't invite him around my kids. You know what I mean? Like there's that sort of like that Venn diagram thing. So I fell into I can't gain respect or wins just by being the most fit or the most well liked all the time, but I can get competent. I can like get to a point where if someone asks me a question about a topic that's within my remit, like I can answer it confidently and I can reference it and I can also do it. So as I started to get to that point, I developed skills around that. Like I didn't do well in first aid, so I became a first aid CFA, and then I went on deployment and I got an award for being a CFA. And so then I was like, oh, being good at your job gets you popularity. And that psychologically for me was like a drug. So I leant into the hill, and then I became greener and greener and greener and greener and greener until eventually I was just this RI that was just like, I am everything. It was an act. It was always an act. But yeah, that's how I ended up there.
Yeah. When did you get your King and Country tattoo?
King and Country, that was my very first tattoo.
Oh, yeah.
I got that when I was 18 years old.
Just out of recruit school?
No, before I even joined the army. That was
really?
Yeah, that big one on my back was my very first tattoo. It's my family crescent, so I was like, yep, I'm going to get something that means something to me. And then now I'm just like, yeah, whatever looks good, or not even what looks good, whatever just catches my eye at the time.
Nice. So fucking, what did you say you went? Fiji as well?
Yeah, I went to Fiji in 2016.
What did they do over there? Same sort of stuff?
Disaster relief. So Tropical Cyclone Winston, like, was a Category 5 cyclone that hit the islands. And specifically we went to Corro Island on HMAS Canberra. And that's like kind of, for me, I think the highlight of my career.
Being on a Navy ship?
Yeah. I knew that was almost the layout for you being an ex-pub. Actually, I just want to bring that up. You hid that really well. Like, it's really good that you bring your name as the Grey Man podcast, because if me and Lucan and the other RIs had known you were a pusser, we just knew you were a retread, but I had no idea about your Navy backing or anything like that. Yeah, so on the Canberra, that was probably a highlight, I think. And it's still, now that I'm out, there's a few of us who are on that trip that still every year like try to get recognition for that deployment, because there is none. Like, there's no medals for it. There's no real acknowledgement from the government from it. We get like every year, like one of the guys writes a letter, and my old boss from it, he lives in Norway, he still advocates for it. But for what it was at the time, I think it was quite an important mission. Like, Fiji and Australia's diplomatic relationship was pretty poor back then from the coup. And they had this real horrible storm hit them, and it's kind of like that. You have a fight with your brother thing and you don't speak to each other for years, but then they need you and they rock up.
Yeah.
So we sailed on the ship, departed the docks, rode through the storm, broke the ship for the first time because, they were really powering through, broke the stabilizer on it. So that was a real rough ride. And then when we got there was some challenges with it, definitely. But that was mostly like on a political and like army political scale. But the work there was really good. It was every day working with like locals that had lost everything, and especially the kids, and getting to rebuild a house or rebuild a church or rebuild a school. And then at the end of that, having like the school kids all back in their school uniform for the first time in like 2 months, singing and clapping to you and saying thank you. And like,
what side of Fiji were you on?
So this was on Coro Island, so to the northeast. So I'll show you a map afterwards. And it's this kind of like this shark tooth looking island with just one ring road around it and one east-west road up towards the north that connects it, and a big mountain. It's just this mountain that sticks out of the water that people live around. But some of the nicest people in the world. And I still think about some of the kids that I worked with there and that I treated, and their positivity and their outlook on life is unique. I've never seen anything like it since. Like, I've got a photo where it's of this beautiful beach, pristine beach in Fiji, and the sun's going down, and in the beach you can just see like bits of concrete in Rio, and like if you didn't know anybody you'd think, oh, it's just like a dirty beach, but that was actually the first 3 streets.
Oh, yeah.
And the storm had like wiped that away and brought the beach that far in.
Yeah, right.
And so as you're walking along the beach, like if you didn't have shoes on, like you'd be stepping on like broken rebar and like bits of people's homes. And despite that, like they'd still want to go have a swim with you, still want to like play rugby with you. Like they had lost everything, but they were still really, really happy to see you.
Yeah, yeah. I was actually talking about this. Fucking that podcast doesn't come out till tomorrow. But yeah, just about that Eastern fucking life and philosophy and culture of just being so content and happy with whatever you have, which is not much a lot of the time. And then there's us fucking filthy fucking consumers that are just never happy with whatever we've got.
It's definitely, I think, a privilege. It is a privilege, but like even in Philippines, like when I'd go around and you'd see how majority of the world gets to live, it bothers me these days when I'm out and I see people say that Australia isn't a lucky country. Like I truly believe it is. Like I gave all of my 20s to serve Australia as pretty much everyone in, our like social circle did. No one ever did that because they thought this was just the reasonably okay country. You know what I mean? And even as an RI, that was sort of my approach, is that every single person joins the army at some point because they truly believe in Australia and they love this country. And it really used to bother me that further in their careers, they'd like forget that little moment of like why they joined, or that moment when you'd graduate and you'd be like, fuck, this is the proudest moment of my life. And then it just slowly gets chipped away. And you see like stuff like that in Fiji, in Philippines, in Thailand, and just, as you said, like Eastern world, how little they need to be happy. And you're like, look what you have, man. Like you can drive, like for example, Redcliffe, like up near where my son lives. It's not the greatest suburb, but it's a great beach. It's got the jetty. It's got like the Bee Gees there. Like you can just drive to that. That's fine. And you can go get like a nice coffee. You can get like fish and chips. You can eat whatever you want. You can drive anywhere. You can go to Australia Zoo if you want. For like some of these people, like they're just lucky to like see a new football for the first time that year. Like just, you know what I mean? Like that's their definition of happiness, is just presence and time over necessarily material things. And growing up poor, I can sympathize with that. It's like that's a feeling that I can be like,
presence and time, as in like time with their family and stuff.
Yeah,
being around other people.
Being around other people, like you can sit down and have a conversation with a stranger there, and they're genuinely happy to talk with you. Whereas like if you walk up to someone in a coffee shop here that you've never met and you're like, hey man, like what's your story? They're like,
the fuck?
What the fuck do you want, weirdo? Yeah. Like that's the difference of it. Over there, like total strangers can become good friends quite easily.
Yeah. Yeah. That's beautiful. How long were you over there for?
In Fiji, about 2.5 months. And then a little bit longer. God, it's going back a while now. A little bit longer because we stayed offshore on the boat.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, for a long time. As one of those political things, Australia wanted to be the last to leave. So New Zealand had a different island. And so we waited on the boat in Fijian waters for them to leave so that Australia could say...
First to arrive, last to leave.
Yeah, well, I don't even know if we were the first to necessarily arrive, but that was their thing of like, we're the last to leave. And yeah, it was just stuff like that was a bit of a political joke. To this day, 2RAR is like a unit that I just do not... I jokingly, like anyone I meet from 2RAR, I'm like, I hate you. As a matter of principle from Fiji, I dislike you fundamentally.
Why? They were with you?
Yeah, they took over the trip.
Oh.
They I'll just call it what it is. They just stole it from 6RAR. So we had spent like, shout out to 6RAR Delta Company boys for this one. We'd spent a year doing RBG prep with them. So workups, all the field exercises. We all knew each other. Everyone had like a good, close relationship. And Briggy Finlay. Yeah, Finlay. Some of your friends would know him. He's not the most popular brigadier. He was SOCOST for a little while. And when he was Brigadier 7th Brigade, he goes, oh yeah, Fiji's happening. Call your family and friends. So our Korea trip got cancelled. So Bravo Company and me and my team were like told, nope, we're not going anymore. RBG is being enacted. Cool. So we go to the mounting facility. We start getting all our gear ready. We're done. We're ready. By that afternoon, we're ready to hop on the boat. And this was like a Monday or Tuesday. Yep, nothing's happening tonight. Go home. All right, honey, I am coming home tonight. Actually, I'm not going to be in Fiji tonight. Next day, 2RAR got wind of it because they were the amphibious guys at the time. So they were like trying to snake onto it. And then by the time we got to Friday for us to actually leave, we're at the mounting facility. All of Delta Company's there. 2CR is there with all of our plant equipment, everything. And Briggy Finn's like, hey, I've got some tough decisions to make. I'm going to have to cut some resources. Following a cut from the Orbat plant troop, your cut, which is like all our heavy machinery for, a humanitarian disaster relief mission, like just cut. We're like, what are we digging with shovel? Like what? Blah, blah, blah. Oh, and Delta Company, your cut. All of Delta Company, who were going to be basically our labour force, which they were happy to, of course, be. We knew that was how it was going to work. They were just told, yeah, you're not coming anymore. 2RARs come down from Townsville. They had delayed the trip so that 2RAR could get to us.
Oh, yeah.
Because the boat had stopped in Brisbane, coming up from Sydney. Stopped in Brisbane. And I kid you not, this is like a movie. As he's standing there on the drive, the street next to us, Mogs and Purse Pods start pulling up with 2RAR. And he's like, yep, Delta Company's your cut. If you could give 2RAR a hand unloading their gear, that would be great. And like, so immediately like this friendship between like 2CR and 6RAR, we were like, you're screwing our friends. Like we hate you immediately. And then on the trip, they were just, not the boys. And I want to be very clear about this. Like it wasn't the diggers' fault at all. This was like their command. Their commander, their CO was a bit of a flog. He was. And he basically just kept them. So he would use us as like the labour force, but then like take the credit as a battalion. Mm-hmm. So he absorbed our unit into his own, labelled it as 2RAR. So every win was a 2RAR win.
Oh, yeah.
But like their pioneer platoon would just zoom around on the boats and then like fuck off. Or like they'd bring a chainsaw and they'd bring one chainsaw and then it broke and we're like, well, here's our stuff then. I guess you can use our stuff to do what you need to do. And they fucked it. I think my favourite one was watching my boss flip out because he put a media crew rocked up to film and we're like, this is really great. Like they're going to get video of our troop and our guys working. And then they faced it at the beach just so they could film the 2RAR guys landing on the beach to help them. And we're like, we've been here for 3 hours building a house. Like, can you not film this stuff instead? And then, yeah, so just stuff like that. And then at the end, like the audacity, on the way home, CO of 2RAR gets everyone on the deck of Canberra and he's like, I want to thank 2CR. You were a little late to the party for this deployment, but, we really appreciate the bit of input that you had. And I remember I was standing there and this 2RAR sergeant like turned around and he was like, we are really sorry, guys. It was like your drunk dad at the party. He's like, we are really sorry. This is not at all.
Sorry about him.
So we're sorry about him. We were like, it's fine, because I think he could sense there was like a mutiny about to happen at this point. We were going to like, can we just throw him overboard? Like, I'm sure the ship won't be able to turn around in time.
Was there a bunch of posters helping out as well? Or they were just fucking transport?
They helped out, and by helped out I mean they just infuriated us every day. So this is like
the chef those cookies and good meals at least.
Oh yeah, no, actually I will say this. That was from your podcast. I was like, yeah, that I can see those, like the double duffing and stuff like that. When we got onto the galley for the first time, we were like, this is fucking amazing. Like, you guys have an ice cream machine that you can just like take with you, and like they cooked us like burgers and fish and chips. It was, you guys looked after us on that front. And then it became like how tall of a soft serve you could get back to your table. And like all the pussers hated us. They were like, you fucking army, you guys are just ruining our ship. We're like, this is the greatest. And then like, of course, they'd pay us back with like scullery duty and just abuse us on that front. And we're like, yeah, okay, fair enough. So yeah, they looked after us, but the Navy workers, not so much. They would hop on the larks, come to shore. So we never went back to the ship. So we stayed on the island the entire time. No real showers or any like you had 2 sets of uniform for the whole time. And we'd watch, and they'd come out and they'd bring like chocolates and lollies and stuff, which was good. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm not complaining that the kids got like treats, but they'd just get, and then they'd just leave. And they would get all of like the recognition for it. And then they'd get to go back to the ship and have a shower and get clean and like have morale. And like for us, we were like, can we just like have one weekend like on a rotation to go back to the ship to just like, because we're flogged. Like dudes were falling off roofs and getting like casevaced out. Like, we need a bit of a break here. This is hard work. And the Navy was just like, nope. I had like a personal moment where I was a digger, like yelled at some Navy doctor over the radio because he denied my casevac. And I called him a coward, I think, from memory on the radio. I called my OC a coward as well. I was very insubordinate at the time, just to be clear about it. It was I have a tough time playing with other people, I guess.
Oh yeah,
yeah. I did not hide my emotion on that case. So.
Can be hard sometimes.
Yeah,
I've definitely been insubordinate in my days.
I never saw any instance of that, and I would like to go on record that I did not teach you to be insubordinate at all.
Not with you. I was an adult by the time I got there.
Yeah.
In my younger days, when I was fucking struggling a bit. Yeah. So fucking what was it? 2020 would have been January 2021.
Yeah.
When was that your first RI platoon?
No, you sure January 2021? Hang on, no, because you were at Camp Blue. Were you at Camp Blue? I got so many recruits that I went.
Echo Company.
Yeah, Echo Company. But were you at the back of the range, or were you in?
No, we were at Echo.
You were at the lines, yeah.
42 platoon.
Was it me and Lucan?
Lucan.
Who were the other RIs?
There was like the tall, skinny infantry dude, short, fat infantry dude. There was a bombardier.
Scotty?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So I remember that platoon. Yeah, you probably would have been my very first or second platoon then.
Yeah.
Yeah. We don't talk about that short, fat guy anymore. He got into some genuine trouble.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, I'll tell you about it offline. But yeah, he's not from what I've heard, he's not very liked anymore. But I think that would have been my second platoon maybe. So January 21, I would have, yeah.
So when I fucking decided to come back to the military for the 4th time as an officer,
yep,
OCDT.
Officer cadet. I'm an officer cadet, not a recruit.
Try again. No, you're like, I'm not calling them officer cadets. And then day one, you're like, officer cadet. You're like, you lost.
Yeah.
Who was that one with a fucking crazy long name and he had to walk up and down the hallway going fucking OCDT Kath McCargan or some shit?
Kath. Yeah, he was the pilot. He was, what was it, the dumbest smart cunt I've ever met in my life. He had like some like degree in astrophysics or something like that, but he couldn't like work out how to spell his name on a shirt. I'm like, you have got to be kidding me. I am Officer Cadet Kath. You know what? I've got. I'll go back and look through my photos, and I'll find his name from that. Yeah, it was the alphabet soup from him.
Yeah. On that last day when we all had to go up the hallway doing dumb shit, he had to fucking just say his name again and again. You made us fucking say it every day, you dog.
Wasn't your one? Didn't I have you saying like "I am the greatest" or something like that? Was that you?
Oh, you say I'm the best. What was it? I'm the best recruit, or you other cunts are shit.
Yeah, or something like that. Like there was that last day was always a good muck up day. There was Dupont actually. Do you remember Dupont? Julian Dupont?
Yeah.
So him and I actually knew each other as cadets like a long time ago. So could you imagine like our surprise when like he gets off the bus and I'm looking at him and he's looking at me and we're literally like, don't say a fucking word. They don't know I was a cadet either, and I won't tell them if like your secret's safe if my secret's safe. And then we just played it as if we never knew each other beforehand.
Nice.
Yeah, good crew that one. Good first platoon.
Yeah. Fucking you got yourself in a little bit of hot water here and there.
Yeah, I guess
very, very enthusiastic RI for your first platoon.
Yeah, I think that's kind of like the story of my life. Like, well intentioned, poor execution. I had some ones that like I feel. I was like, I get it. I'm like, I've always been happy to admit, like, okay, that was a mistake. I think the big Kostovsky, you might remember him, like the SIG. He was one of the RIs.
Oh yeah.
And he was watching me, and I had one of you, I forget who it was, and it was like nighttime. And you were just, because I say things, because being in a combat engineer regiment, like you just quick-witted and you just say whatever. And he was just doing that thing, like, you know, when you're against a wall and you just bounce your back off the wall.
Yeah.
Occasionally.
In the hallway.
Yeah,
I remember you said you're going to bounce his head off the wall.
Yeah, that's it. But I was like, if you bounce off that fucking wall again, I'm going to bounce your skull off the ground. Just because it, like, to me in my head, I'm like, A, that's kind of funny. And B, like, it reinforces it. And I've like walked down, and as I've turned around, Kostovsky's just at the end there, like, and so we dismissed you. And then afterwards, he like, and this is the thing that like recruits don't necessarily see is nothing is like, not genuine, but nothing's like meaning in that way. Like it's always planned. And he pulls me aside. He's like, "Hey man, you can't say that. That's a genuine threat of violence. Like that's not okay." He did the 100% the right thing. He pulled me up on it. I was like, "Sure, man." So I went back to I forget who it was, but I was like, "Hey, really sorry. I didn't mean anything about it. Sometimes I say things I don't mean like that. Hope you don't take it that way, but don't bounce on the hallway." Like that's we clear on that. And I found that always seemed to get me by for the most part. It's like I'd say things, and if you took me that seriously, then I'd say that's probably a bit more of a statement on you than me. But I used to love like getting my legs back.
The kids don't know any different, eh?
I think it's a generational thing. I'm surprised that you remember me saying that. Actually, it obviously stuck out quite loudly. I'd hoped I'd forgotten about that.
And the rock incident.
The rock incident.
Throwing the rock at that dude on the assault course.
I'm gonna have Adfus knocking at my door. I would like to state this was my first platoon. I was learning. I remember who that was actually. That was on the. He kept smiling, and I don't know what it was, but I was like, "You've got to," because the whole point of that was like I was like, I've got to get him away from this taking the piss mentality. But everything I said just like let him think it was more of a joke. So I was like, how do I make him think that this is serious? So I just picked up this rock and I threw it like not at him. It would be like if you were there, I'd like throw it that way. But from his perspective, he didn't fucking know that. He just saw his RI pick a rock up and he was like, and then again afterwards went to him and was like, "Hey, sorry man, I didn't mean to like scare you like that. But like you need to understand, we're training to stab people here. You can't be laughing about these things, especially after you lose your bayonet and drop it." And he was like, "Oh yeah, fair enough." But I think that's the more of the moral of the story is after every one of those things where you go wrong, you need to have like good people around you to be like, "Oi, dipshit, that's not okay." And if you do it again, then it's going to become a problem. And I'm fairly confident. I'm sure someone in the comments will be like, "Nope, I remember you doing that a second time." Fairly confident that I didn't make those mistakes twice. Like it was always a case of, all right, that's a line in the sand. Don't do it that way. Find a different way of attacking that task than throwing a rock near a recruit. It is kind of ironic though, like thinking back now to like I work with my RI difference in culture. Like graduation week, I had my entrenching tool thrown at me, like deliberately. It wasn't like near me; it was like thrown at me. I had to like dodge out the way because it had dirt on it. So experiences may vary, I guess, is the theory on that one.
It's definitely changed. Yeah, then fucking you got is that where the green faded away at Kapuka?
No, not at all. Kapuka was exactly what I hoped it would be. Like, so if Fiji was like the deployment highlight, being an RI was the professional highlight of my career. And even the way that it ended, I advocated for like my junior NCOs that I had and my diggers. I'm like, hey, if you want to become an RI, I would 100% recommend that for most of them. Because it was I think it's the greatest job outside of Special Operations Command for having career satisfaction. Like you get a product on day one and you don't get anyone else to blame for the product on day two. Even IETs, you could argue that you're handed potentially an already flawed product at the start. And someone else has already had their input before you get them. And then, so if they're not great by the end, like that's not necessarily a direct reflection on you. As an RI, like if you do not give, whatever you give in is exactly what you get out at the end. And that satisfaction on like March out days and stuff where like, you know, you'd see you guys get like Soldier of Merit and stuff like that, which was a big argument in the office. Because like there was 5 of us. And
I got some for Kapuka for those wondering.
Yeah. Because there was 3, all 5 of us unanimously agreed it should be you. You'd performed finally on 4 attempts. You'd finally got it right. But there's a long-standing thing of like retreads shouldn't get SOM because of the unfair advantage.
Prior knowledge, yeah.
But because it was an officer cadet class and a few other things, we're like, well, we're holding them all to a higher metric. So like, yeah, no, this time we're gonna let it work. But what was I saying? Oh yeah, so like as an RI, like it's you get that product at the end, you get that reward at the end, and it is a good feeling. For me, where it changed was when the things that went wrong for me, and you know, I take full accountability for some of the things or for the things that I did do wrong. The institution turned. And I kind of went through like these steps of, before I went to Kapuka, I was getting disenfranchised. I was like, these guys that are coming to the unit, they're just not motivated. They're already getting to us like with that jade in their eyes, and they're wasting their careers and their lives doing nothing in a digger room. I didn't really want to go to Sydney because I hate living in Sydney for training in general, let alone posting there. I was like, how do I get to them before anyone can corrupt them? Like my plan was to go to Kapuka and hopefully for whoever I interacted with to get them at such a level that even by the time someone had brought them down, they were where they should have been to begin with, I guess. It was a very naive goal. And then I got to Kapuka and I kind of did that for some, I hope. I genuinely hope that I did do that for a few of them. And then you're like, okay, that's not going to work. And then when I had my incidences, which I'm sure we'll get into, that knocked me down. And I was like, okay, the army does not value me at all. Not even just does not care about me, does not value me and is willing to just punish me for my worst mistake rather than, you know, at that time, 10 and a half, 11 years worth of decent service. You know, like threw the baby out with the bathwater. Yeah. And then I went back to my unit and I went, okay, the army doesn't want me, but the Corps, like the engineers, like my Corps, they've got my back. And then the Corps didn't have my back. And I was like, well, fuck it. If the Corps doesn't have my back, my unit will have my back. And then my unit didn't have my back. And it was at that moment I was like, why am I putting myself through this mental stress and load of trying to do more than what I'm paid to do, be better than I actually am, and all of these things. And I'm just mentally destroying myself, like really putting myself in a mentally dark place for all of these. And I'm not getting anything out of it and I'm not being valued for it. So I had a career interview in October of 23 and I said, stuff yous, like I'm out, I'm done. So from really in a 1 year period of August of 2022 to October 2023 was all it took from what you saw to get me from that to go to like, I'm done, I'm out. It was a very quick process. And then my last working day was the following January of 2024. And then I had like terminal leave until my last day in service.
Yeah, right. And you did some chalk work with 7th Brigade HQ.
Yeah, I tried to do that for a while. And then the carryover problems from my full-time service and just because I was now a civilian chalk, I just didn't have the patience to put up with personality clashes. And so, like, my opinion was always it's a rank slide, not a mouth guard. Like, just because you're a higher rank doesn't mean you get to talk to people like they're pieces of shit. And like I'd said before, competency beats everything. So if I have a real hard time respecting authority that can't demonstrate competency. So if you're a warrant officer, hypothetically, and you're meant to be in a position of authority over me, but you can't shoot and you're meant to be the shooting instructor, I just look at you and go, I'm not listening to a word you say. and that's not a good mentality for an NCO, even in a chalk. So yeah, I these days I just don't parade and I just do my full-time work as a civvy.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, that stuff you were talking about with Kapuka. I was actually talking to a mate the other day that's going down to be an RI next year, and he's real worried about, you know, how soft it is now and getting in trouble and stuff. And I was like, you were in my head as an example. I was like, if you can be hard, but then just be a cool cunt at night when you're walking around the rooms having a chat and giving soldiers fives and stuff, and they'll forget about what a cunt you were during the day.
Yeah. I kind of felt like my approach going into because being an RI is a little bit of an act. There's nothing wrong in the army with being a cunt. Like, I found that especially for younger men, or at least people that grow up, like, that's what you kind of expect. Like, you kind of expect when you join the army, you're going to get that hard charger who's like, drop and do it, give me 20. Like,
Yeah.
But you have to balance that. You can't just be a cunt all of the time. And that's why, like, I'd make it a personal mission to be like, doesn't matter what you did. If you did the wrong thing, I would be down your throat, like, immediately. And I'd remind you why it was bad. But then once everything's calmed, okay, sit down. I'm going to show you how to do it right. And then and I can confidently say this with every recruit I had, every platoon. I'd start at room 1, which was always on the left. And then it doesn't matter if I finished work at 4. I didn't leave work until I'd gone to every single room and asked every single recruit, are you okay? Have you struggled with anything today? Is there anything you're still unsure of with today's learning? Like, and if I ended up in that room for half an hour having a conversation to fix a bit of equipment or to go over something, that was what the expectation was as a leader. Mm. And once I got to the end, I'd do a quick, like, anyone I missed? No? Okay, now I can go. And I'm not saying that's what you should do to be good. What I'm saying is, like, that's how I found the balance of being that cunt, like, for lack of a better term, of being that guy who would, like, just be really ruthless with things and black and white, but you're going to get in trouble if you just do that all the time. Because you have to motivate people at the end of the day. You have to give them a reason to be like, why should I listen to you tell me that this is how you should shoot? Well, I'm going to tell you should shoot like this because I'm going to do it in front of you right now and I'm going to get a perfect score on the shoot. And if you don't want to listen to me after that, that's fine. You can go to someone else. But if you want to know how I got a perfect shoot, I'm going to tell you. That was kind of my approach to it.
Yeah. Lead by example for sure. So what you alluded to it before, the
incident, the incident, as Leclerc would say. I think I hold maybe not anymore. At the time, I held the distinct infamy of being the only RI to get a unacceptable behaviour complaint from staff members, not a recruit. And I think you might actually you will remember one of them. And I don't care putting him on blast. I don't care. So essentially what happened is I had...
Was it the short, fat one that we don't talk about?
No, he was fat, but he wasn't that short, fat one that was in our platoon. Yeah. So 2021, I had an exemplary year. As my PIR put it, did really well. As you alluded to, I had pretty consistent comments of like, yeah, he's a bit of a ruthless gun, but like he's fair. He's never like too far. He's just intense. Intense was the word. And so I was doing really well, and I got a really good PAR that year. And I was one of those guys that was, I'm a corporal. I'm going to stay a corporal. I love being a corporal. I was green, very green. Whatever the army wanted, I'd fucking do it. You want me to stand it still for an hour? I'll do it. Okay, cool. And then my chain of command rings me in like March of 2022. And they're like, hey, congratulations. I was like, what? My OC? Like, what? He's like, hey, you've cleared PAC for promotion to sergeant.
Oh, true.
And I was like, oh, I didn't even know that I'd went. He's like, yeah, we submitted on your behalf because, we thought you were ready. You'd done enough years. I'd been a corporal for like 6 years at that point, 5 years maybe. Yeah, 5, 6 years. And you've come, whatever, band, blah, 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 roughly 8th this year. Cool. I don't want it. And they're like, too bad. Like, you're getting promoted, service needs, yada, yada. Well, I haven't done any promotion courses yet, which is a pretty consistent theme in my career, getting promoted before promotion courses. And they were like, yep, no, Schema's going to call you. They've got a plan for that. So I get a call in a couple of days later. Schema's like, we've panelled you for Subject Force Sergeant at the back end of 2022. I was like, well, I've got platoons that time. I can't do that. And they're like, no, we've sorted that with your RSM. So you're going to be doing this. It's like, fuck. So a big deal to me was doing a full-time platoon. So I'd done reserves all of 2021, which was positive, but like not why I went. I was like, no, I'm doing full-time platoon. And being resourceful and an engineer and being like, I don't look at obstacles and just go, oh, well, I'm like, I'm going to find a way through this. I looked at the scheduling at Kapuka. You can see where every platoon is and who's on what. And I found a platoon that marched out, a full-time platoon that marched out the week before I was meant to start promotion course. I was like, okay, if I can get in that platoon, I'll be able to do a full-time platoon, starts in like 2-3 weeks, do it, and then get that tick in the box, and then I'll be able to go happily to do my promotion course. Worst decision of my career. Worst. And I had people try to talk me out of it because they could see the writing on the wall of me and who I was going to go work with. And I was like adamant, being stubborn as I was, like, no, I'm going to do this. It's my way. I'm going to do it. So I, for lack of a better term, leveraged this loser. I called him up and he was, I don't know if you remember, during our platoon, there was 2 other corporals that came in for like 2 weeks to come and watch.
Yeah.
Do you remember the really fat, weird one, the loggy, the quartermaster?
Vaguely, yeah.
He, to the point where he had to, he walked through the door sideways because he couldn't physically, he was fat. I've got like photos of this guy. His polys don't really, like, disgusting. And being who I was, the sight of him in uniform genuinely infuriated me. I was like, you are disrespecting our uniform, being an RI and looking like that. So he had been in for a year as well, like me, and he had been badged. So he had his own platoon and he had 3 brand new corporals underneath him from 2022 to train as the senior. And he was abysmal, like failing his lessons. He was lazy. You know that little uphill climb to go to the Afghans?
Oh, yeah.
From like the Wally T?
Yeah.
Like he stopped them, Mark timed his recruits there for a couple of minutes while he caught his breath so he could get the rest. This is all, other people can back this up. Like, this is not me disparaging. These are real things that he did. He shat himself in front of recruits once because when he prop dropped, he sharted in his pants.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah. So very unfit guy. And being a loggy, I was like, I can get his spot. That's fine. So I called him up. I was like, hey, I've noticed you got an admin corporal spot. Can I jump in on your platoon? Blah, blah, blah. He's like, oh, yeah, I suppose. My boss likes it. Called the boss. I was like, hey, can I come and join you? And he goes, yeah, if your boss approves it, then you can come across. Called my boss. Hey, this other boss said he's happy to have me. Can I go across? So I played mum against dad. I got on the team and it was the fat platoon. Like this bombardier who was equally as fat and this Ramey guy who was a giant fat dude. And like when they had DPCUs, their buttons were like on instant.
Oh, yeah.
And for someone like, how I was like, this was a challenge and not one that I was prepared for or used to. And so I won't go into like the specifics, but like throughout the course, I kind of took a like lead by example thing. I'd be like, hey, let's do weapons while the recruits were with Padre. Let's do weapons rehearsals. Like, let's rehearse our weapons lessons because it was their second platoon. Like, no, we did that. I was like, when? We haven't even signed weapons out of the armory yet. We haven't got them out of main armory. Oh, we did it last platoon. I'm like, what, you mean 3 months ago? No. We rehearse weapons lessons while they're not here. You do that for every lesson. That was kind of the standard. They're like, no, we've got to go to get pies. I was like, you fucking kidding? So I picketed weapons while these 3 fat dudes went and got pies out in town. They came back and I'm like, all right, we're ready to do weapons rehearsals now. They're like, oh no, we're pretty tired. We're going to go to sleep. High wire obstacle course day. 2 of them, I was like, all right, we're all going up with your sections because I'm not a second commander, I'm an admin corporal. And they're like, no, we don't want to go up. We've already proved it. When we were recruits, we did it. I was like, it's not about that. You've got to set the example for your young men and young women that you can do this, that it's possible for them to do it. And they're like, no, we don't have to. Plus, I'm afraid of heights. I'm like, I don't give a fuck if you're afraid. And this is all in the corporal's office. I'm like, I don't give a fuck if you're afraid of heights. I will hog tie you to the rope and haul you up there if I have to. Like, you are going the fuck up there, man. Like, wouldn't have it. Turned into a big argument. And in the end, they got out of it because the civvy instructors were like, yeah, no, we don't have harnesses that are weight rated to them. Mm-hmm. So they got to sit out of it. So, well, someone's going up the tower. I'll go up the tower for every recruit and abseil down. And I'm afraid of heights as well. But like, fuck, I'm not letting them go up there alone. So that it started this like me versus them wedge. Mm. And recruits saw it. And I do not blame the recruits at all. Myself and the sergeant, who was very intense, we were on the same page. The corporals and the boss, one of them was artillery, the boss was artillery. They were all sort of the other camp. Recruits are what they are, and they are ultimately a herd mentality. So, sorry. They go with wherever the lane's easiest. If you give them a choice between hard training and being strict or like a ship instead of leadership, they're going to choose the latter. Like, that's just what they're going to do. Yeah. So my hard approach, like you'd be able to testify to, suddenly didn't look reasonable anymore, because nights that I would be driving, I'd be like, no, I gave you a timing of 7 minutes and you did it in 7:05. I don't care. Like, we're doing it again until it's 7. Whereas the other corporals would be like, oh, who cares about that? Like, let's just like relax, because they couldn't demonstrate competency. So the only way they could get respect was by being liked and being their friends. And so it just kept, and by the end of the 7 weeks, it culminated with, for legal reasons, I can't go into details, a recruit committed or was alleged to have committed a crime. They were removed from training, and as part of his removal process, he put a complaint in against me. And it was words to the effect of that I had targeted him, which was true, but I'd done it correctly. I had suspected him of doing the wrong thing, and I had given him specific things to catch him doing it. So that wasn't the issue. But during the investigation for that, the 3 other guys saw that as like blood in the water. And we're like, oh, Geoff's done this and Geoff's done this and Geoff's done this. And I heard Geoff say this and I heard Geoff say this to a recruit. But the recruits never actually complained about anything. Like, no recruit, even when they interviewed them, went, oh yeah, I felt uncomfortable by this. Like, they just didn't care. They didn't take it that way. So I got given a 12-month formal warning, notice to show cause. Yeah. And that was tough, because I just got called on a Friday night, and this was the part that like really stung me, is they brought me into work on a Friday to do the ranges with them because they wanted my help. And this was all happening behind my back. They'd already had all of these meetings and already done this, and already knew they were kicking me out that night, but they didn't want to tell me until after the day's work was done because they needed me. Mm-hmm. And then the boss calls me, he's like, hey, not to come back to the platoons. You're not allowed any recruits of any kind for the rest of the investigation, blah, 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 blah. And I just broke. Like, I was in my lid box on base crying, like sobbing to my sergeant, being like, hey, what have I done? Like, I haven't screwed a recruit. I haven't physically harmed a recruit. Like, what have I done to be, because no accusations were leveled. They were just told, you've done the wrong thing, Geoff.
You didn't know why.
And I wasn't told why. And that was really hard. Like, and I'm sure, I hope that you can, like, knowing me, you can be like, I can see why Geoff would have really struggled with that.
Mm.
And then they were like, you're not allowed to go near recruits. Like, I was some like sex offender.
Yeah.
Not allowed near schools. I was like, well, I live on base with recruit. Like, how the fuck am I meant to do that?
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, you're not allowed to do that. And then a couple of days go by, we get pulled in. They're like, yep, here's your warning. You're not allowed to do anything while you're under investigation. What am I under investigation for? We can't tell you. Okay. Then I never got interviewed. And this was a problem I had. The investigation to decide if I was worthy of having done something wrong took 2 months.
So you were just hanging out on base for 2 months waiting?
Yeah.
Fuck.
I was assigned a support officer, but this wasn't his fault. He had his own stuff on. He was discharging and he had his own mental health problems going on as well. And being an NCO and as a veteran, like, you don't really the most honest when it comes to you struggling with things. So I just would tell him, yeah, I'm doing great, man. Meanwhile, I'd be sitting at the Wally T drinking myself stupid from 8 a.m. till 8 p.m. at night when I'd pass out on the couch in the Wally T.
Yeah. Right.
And I did that pretty consistently for 2 months. I had like people come in and check on me. I even had a member of that training staff of the 3 corporals. Sorry, there was 4. The female, she defended me. She was like, no, I didn't observe Geoff do any of this stuff. And she'd back me up. I still helped her rehearse her lessons drunk, albeit I was like, oh, I'll help you. Because I could turn it on then. But yeah, I was just left to basically rot. And like felt complete abandonment from it. And then when I finally got given the accusations, there was 9 accusations from memory. And I was like, really? This is what my career and my name, like, is in the absence of information, people gossip.
Mm.
And like, I had friends or people that I thought were friends and colleagues were going around the base and they were saying things that like had nuggets of truth. So someone was talking behind my back and the only people that could were those 3 dudes. And they were out and out embellishing and the evidence like proved it. So I had one person come up to me and when I was like, hey man, how are you going at Afghans? He was like, get the fuck away from me. I was like, bro, what? He's like, you held a recruit to a knife's throat, like a knife to a recruit's throat on the ground. Like I pinned a guy down and held him by the throat with a fucking knife. And I was like, what are you talking about? He was like, get the fuck. It's funny now, but like at the time I was like I'd spent my entire career building a name and it was just, I was watching it getting burned in front of me and I had no idea why. And then I finally got the accusations like, this is what my name's being burned over. And I was like, fuck it, I'm fighting this. Like, I'm not going down. So I got a lawyer. I wrote a 10,000 something word reply, like pages on each individual accusation. And some of them were just absolute rubbish. And I had like character references. I had Dave Ward, Brigadier Ward. He wrote me a character reference. Aaron wrote me a character reference. I had the shooting staff write me references to say I was never inappropriate on the range. I had other RIs. I had like comments from other recruits that were like, Geoff was hard but fair, blah, blah. I was like, I've got a really solid case here to prove that even if the 2 things that I was like, yeah, I did do that and I'm really sorry. I can see how that was wrong. That someone's going to look at that and go, okay, here's a career of reasonable performance and 2 little missteps and he's taken accountability for it. And the people that he alleged to have done it wrong to haven't taken offense. I was like, all right, good. I'm good here. And then I watched every day on Objective and you can do like an audit trail to see who's opened each individual file. And I watched the CEO of 1RTV open like 4 or 5 of these 30 character references and evidence. And he picked the ones that I knew he'd pick, like Dave Ward and Warrant Officer Class 2 Johnson, conspicuous service medal, like the high ones, but he didn't read any of the others. And then I flew back I was on promotion course, flew back from Brisbane off leave to go get my notice to show cause decision handed to me. And then they just paid me off. They were like, oh yeah, the CEO is busy, so he's not going to see you today. I'm like, well, I leave for Sydney in a week for promotion course. So it's now or never. Oh, we'll do it over FaceTime, over Zoom. So then I'm on promotion course on a Zoom call, having this CO.
Didn't stop you from getting on the promotion course?
No, thankfully. That was the one saving grace. And he was like, "Yep, I've reviewed the evidence and yada yada yada. I've found that of the 9 allegations, I'm dismissing 6, but I'm keeping these 3, and I'm going to award you a 9-month instead of 12-month formal warning." So there goes my promotion at the end of the year, stripped, no deployments for 9 months, no career progression, everything just destroyed. And I said to him, I was like, "Sir, respectfully, like I've got objective open right now. And I'm looking at the audit trail. You haven't read half of my, more than half of my evidence." He was like, "Yes, I have." Like just Jedi mind tricked. I was like, "I know I'm just a corporal. Like I'm not a fucking idiot. Like I've got eyes." And I had the RSM who was, I thought my friend, wasn't, just was like, you will shut up now. And I'm like, I can see, and that's where I had that moment where I was like, okay, the army is flawed. Like the Corps doesn't even have my back. No, like I'm alone here. I was abandoned and now I'm truly alone. Like I've got no recourse here to fight this. And so I was like, fuck it, I'll take that. You know what, 9 months it is. I fought, I lost. That's what I've preached to recruits for in my whole career. I fought, I lost. That happens. Move on. Battle's done. But it wasn't. Just kept getting kicked for it over and over and over again. So then I marched into my unit. I was already posted there. I had the posting order as a sergeant. I had to post in there as a corporal.
Back to CEO.
Yeah, humiliated. Like where's your 3rd stripe? I thought you were. I was like, well, this all happened, and I can't really talk about it because of the orders and stuff like that. And then I finished that 9-month formal warning in about May of that year, I want to say. And then my OC and my SSM were really solid. And to this day, they're the 2 best examples I have of officers and seniors. They're like, "Sir," to the CO and RSM and to the schema. They're like, "Geoff has not only done everything they said that he had to do in his formal warning, he's gone above and beyond, and he's served his punishment." Yeah, they're like, "Geoff served his punishment. Surely we can now promote him. We'll do because the pack to go to promotion for the end of the year happens in April for sergeants. My formal warning was lifted in May. So I wasn't eligible for the 2023 promotions. And my OC was like, "Surely we can just do a special pack," which is like basically they just go for extenuating circumstances because you have one look at this guy and say yes or no. And my CO and RSM were like, nah, it's a lot of effort. We don't want to do that.
Did you decide that you actually wanted to be a sergeant by this stage?
It wasn't so much that I decided to be a sergeant. It was like I've always been a case of I'm going to whinge and moan probably, but like if you tell me to do something, I'm going to do it to the best that I can do it. So I just embraced it. I was like, all right, I'm posted in as a troop sergeant. I'm a corporal still. I'm going to be filling a sergeant position. Let's just do it to the best that we can. And once you've done that, you can't really go back. Like you can't go from like managing other corporals and being the supervisor to then being like, "Oh, I'm just one of you guys again," even though I was yelling at you for, you know what I mean? So it's just once you're on that side of the hill, like you're stuck there then. My troop commander was excellent. He's an amazing, he's an amazing officer, genuinely amazing officer. And that squadron at that time was, from a chain of command perspective, the best I'd ever seen. And then watching the caliber of those guys argue to a CO, that was when I had like, Army has abandoned me. The Corps has abandoned me by saying, "We're not going to promote you because you're not going to get a special pack." And now my CO, my unit has abandoned me. All I have left is my squadron, my subunit. That is the only loyalty I have left, my subunit of like 70 people left in the Army. And watching them fight and in vain get told, like, "We just don't care." Like we're getting a sergeant for free was their kind of mentality, because they kind of knew me by reputation enough to know that I wasn't just going to phone it in.
So you weren't getting HDA or anything?
I was getting like the 10% HDA. So I was like getting some of it, but not for because that's the other thing. They went, "Well, you're going to be the RBG sergeant." So there was other fully qualified sergeants that they were like, "Yeah, but your troop did better, so we're going to give it to you guys, to you and Cal." Because we worked our asses off to get our troop to that standard. So then that resulted in boys getting trips to Cyprus, resulted in them getting trips to like East Timor and stuff like that. But then when it came to the end of year in October, so May, got told, yeah, no, we're not going to, formal warnings lifted, you're eligible for promotion, but we're not going to do it anyway. We can't be fucked. Then getting to October and Schema calls me and I'm like, what's the plan with me next year? And they're like, yeah, we're going to put you in an ops sergeant position. I was like, are you going to promote me? And they're like, no, you're already kind of doing sergeant stuff anyway. And you seem to be, you know, in terms of performance at your unit, you got rated like in your subunit, like one of four, which with loading, which was, you know, what happens, but still really well. And amongst your entire regiment, you came in the top 5. So why would we, like, what incentive is there to promote you from our perspective? That was my reaction. I was on the phone. I was about to go to an ultrasound appointment for my new son. And I was like sitting in the car. I'm like, I don't love this anymore. Like I had that, I had that moment where like I became the very thing that I hated, which was that guy who was just collecting a paycheck from the army. I was like, I hate this. I'm about to become a father and I'm going to be staring down the possibility of getting sent. Like my physical presence is not under my control. I can be sent out field or on deployment. I'm on RBG, so I can be deployed as well. Taken away from my son for something that I don't believe in anymore. Mm. And that's on the scheme interview. I went, you can get fucked, and just hung up. Mm. And then went into work, said, I'm discharging, I'm out. When did the FTA attitude fucking creep in? Was it back at Kapuka when you were sitting at the bar or? No, it wasn't. Again, I kind of like always distinguish between an organizational hatred and a people hatred. So like even during then, and maybe, you know, I was drinking a bit then. So maybe my memory of it is flawed, and someone might come out and be like, no, not quite, Geoff, you weren't that good or that humble. But like even when I was living on base then, like I was still motivated. Even on sub 4 sergeant course, I came 3rd. Like I still tried to really apply myself because as my psychologist says, like the only identity I had for a long time was through meritocracy. And because I was having such an identity crisis, I could not allow myself to fail. And that kind of just kicked the ball down the road a little bit. Mm. It made it, when I did have my real bad moment, like that's what led to it, was when I was faced with complete failure and loss. That's when I finally snapped. So that was after speaking of schema? I was after I discharged. Yeah. Yeah. So there was a few more things that had to happen in life, but they were post-service. But like I never wanted to leave. Like I had a 5-year plan. Like I wanted to end up as SSM of 16 Squadron up in Townsville because I wanted to do Townsville. You know, for me, I was a lifer for the Army. And like I feel like in every sergeant, they had invested quite a bit. And I'm still in a group chat with the guys I did promotion courses with. And I'm still looking at, like today, guys having schema interviews and getting screwed over because they're just not being managed correctly. Mm. So this isn't just like a woe is me. It's endemic. Like the Army, the people who are in senior positions are still not doing the right thing by people. And they're still treating it as if like, you're in the Army, you got nowhere else to be. Yeah. And that's not the case. Like there is purpose on the other side. Yeah, for sure. Do you reckon that's part of the corporal retention issues? Yeah, I hear it's getting better. I hear that apparently retention's the best it's ever been, recruitment's the best it's ever been, but anecdotally, 100%. The people I know that leave, the ones that we could have retained, it's not because they were overworked. Like I was overworked, but I never complained about it. It was because the value and reward return wasn't there anymore. Just mismanaged. Like, you know, I had one guy, a good friend of mine, he was an RI. He had served in Townsville, in CTC, in 3CR, in Brisbane, 2 years unaccompanied from his kid in Wagga. And he said, hey, for my next posting, can I just get Southeast Queensland? I don't even care about Brisbane. I'll take Canungra. I'll take Amberley, whatever, just somewhere in Southeast Queensland so I can be near my daughter. And the schema rep went, oh yeah, having a look here, you need to get out of Brisbane though. He's like, I served 2 years in Brisbane at the start of my career. And since then I've been in Townsville and Wagga. What do you mean get out of Brisbane? Because he can't, the guys, the warrant officers can't be fucked up opening up a purse file and actually reading someone's service history. They just go, where was your last location? Like that's why people leave. That's what burns people out, is the constant. They're not asking unreasonable things.
Yeah.
They're just asking like, I will give you whatever the fuck you want if you just give me this tiny little thing.
Yeah, just give me a little bit.
Just give me something. And the people in power just go like, no, like, no, it's my train set. Yeah. Like you'll drive whatever I want. And it's like, well, okay, great. That's a really good long-term personnel management policy. Let's see how that works out for you.
Wonderfully. Yeah, fuck. So it was the loss of identity and crash after you decided to fucking hedge papers in.
Yeah, like that was kind of like the last moment. The part that did it was I didn't just like go, I'm quitting and then like go into nothing. I reached out to Paul Cale, and I'd known him for a few years as a coach through the combatives gym and stuff like that. And I was like, hey man, I'm looking for a job. What can you offer? I know you've got all the special forces guys. I'm not that background, but I have all my DEMS qualifications, and I know you're trying to expand into role playing, like for battle noise simulation stuff. Maybe I've got something you can offer. So I had a meeting with him. He offered me a job, which was great. So I was like, sweet, I've got a job. I've got a kid on the way. Fuck the army. I'm out. I'm out of here, guys. And like what he offered was like 160 a year, company car, roll around, going down to Singo to teach shooting and stuff. I was like, this is a fucking mint job. This is exactly what I was looking for. It's great. So I quit, put all my discharge in, and kind of like burnt my bridges. I was like, I'm out of here, guys. And you know what I mean? Like I was out and very vocal about it. In my discharge thing, I by name in my chain of command and through the army, I was like, this officer on this exercise did this unsafe. This is why I'm leaving. And like, I was very vocal about it. So there was no safety net to go back. I burned the boats. And yeah, I was not very popular for those last few months in the regimental headquarters area. And then it got to like January with kinetic fighting and it all fell apart. So like I got a job with Kinetic of like getting paid to go do that. And then all of his contracts and the stuff that he's dealing with, I don't know the politics of it. I don't understand it too much.
The company structure fell apart.
Yeah, they lost their contract with Singo. I've heard conflicting things about how that happened.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of posts on his Insta and stuff about all the shenanigans.
I see the stuff he says and he's told me. I see the stuff that other people have said. I've heard the stuff from the guys at Singo from their point of view. And either way, to me, as someone who just had set a fire to their own identity because they thought, all right, I'm going to be a dad now and I'm going to have an income to do that, has just lost that income. And so now I'm sitting there like down the barrel of like, I've got a kid in like 2 months. How the fuck am I going to feed my family with no job? Shit. So I became super chock. That's how I ended up at the brigade headquarters.
Oh, yeah.
Just super chocking, like, 5 days a week doing that scam that is of just getting extra days for no work. And did that for as long as I could. And then I worked in a gun store for a little while, selling a firearms store, all while I waited for my application for Queensland Police to progress through.
Okay.
But that, before I got that job, I was basically selling my soul because I was having to just constantly bite my tongue at the combative center. I was constantly having to just like suppress my ego because I was backed into that corner of I need this money. Like I need this money so fucking badly. And challenging that with like the only way I knew how to earn that money, which was to be this like type A, this is how it's done and I'm going to prove it, blah, 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 blah. And those two things weren't working well together. And then it finally culminated with, I won't go into the personal stuff with family just because it's still ongoing, but I had an issue at home and it culminated with me sitting in my car at 2 a.m. in August of last year, and I had a new son. He was only a couple of months old, and I was sitting there like with helium, with a paper bag, like plastic bag and a tube, getting frustrated that I couldn't get a good enough seal on it, because my thinking at the time was, my son's not going to know I'm gone. He's too young for it. But I don't want the photos of my funeral to have me like, because I own firearms. I don't want to shoot myself. I don't want to do that to other firearms owners. Like, it's a weird thing to sort of think about when you're contemplating end of life. But I'm like, I don't want to screw other firearms owners and be like, this is a reason we should get rid of firearms. So I was like, I'm not going to use a gun. I was like, I'm not going to hang myself, because I've seen what that does to people, like with the bloating of the face and the neck. I was like, I want them to be able to have an open casket funeral. So I was like, I can't do that.
It's very thoughtful.
This is how I thought about it. I was like, I can't cut myself, because I'm a coward with that. So I was like, fuck, I don't want to bleed like that, and the mess that would make.
Yeah, fucking watch it happening.
Yeah, and then if it goes wrong, same with pills. I'm like, I don't want to take pills, because then if I just become a vegetable, like that's even worse.
Yeah.
And so I was like, and then I didn't want to do a car either, because I thought that in the house that could affect my kids, and also any first responders. So I was like, I don't want to just put a hose from my exhaust into the car. So I spent like, a bit of time researching. I'd been thinking of self-harm mentally for several months at this point. So I kind of already had in the back of my head a plan of how I was going to do this. And so I had the helium from a party store that I'd gone and snuck a bit of money away from my family to go buy. And I got a bit of PVC tubing from the garage. And basically, because helium is denser than air, as it fills the bag, it's a peaceful way to go out. You basically just fall asleep. And then once the helium runs out, it dissipates into the air, and it's the scene's safe again.
Yeah, right.
That was kind of my...
I don't know you can do anything with helium except make yourself have a funny voice.
Yeah, well, that's kind of what it does. But that's when it's mixed with air. Like when it's just in a concealed thing, or it just pushes all the oxygen out, and all you're breathing in, you can't breathe helium. So you just basically... The reason when you try to suffocate, if you suffocate, you get that panic thing of like, it's because the buildup of carbon monoxide or whatever it is in your body causes that. But helium takes that exchange as well. So you don't get the panic response. You just kind of peacefully go to sleep.
Yeah, right.
And I thought, that's kind of nice. Like, as sad as it is, I was like, I'll just fall asleep in my car, listen to some music, and my family will be able to have an open casket funeral, and that'll be the end of all my troubles. Like, the family can have the super and whatever's left of it. And I didn't think about it in any logistical sense. I just thought, I can't do this anymore. And I kind of just angered myself out of doing it, because I couldn't get the tape while crying and in the dark to fucking seal properly. So shit just kept leaking everywhere. And then kind of with all things, at least people I've spoken to who have tried that or self-harm, it's usually like when they stop thinking about it for a bit, that's where you get enough distance that you sort of realize, holy fuck, what I'm about to do. And just that fucking around with everything and trying to get this rig set up, that I got so angry. And then I was listening to music, and then I was sort of like feeling a little bit better. And then I just slept in the car that night, and then just went back home like nothing had happened.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a couple of friends call me and check in on me, because I'd sort of gone black. And that kind of like brought me away from that. But that was that moment where I was right on the edge there of, if I had have just been able to get that tape sealed around the bag to go over my head, like I wouldn't be here today.
Yeah. Has anybody else heard that story?
My therapist, and two very close friends.
I never told you, your missus? Or...
Not in that, my ex-missus. No, I've never told her in that detail. I told her that, I tried that night, and that just led to a fight.
Yeah.
So,
right.
yeah. It's taken a bit of work to get to a point where I'm like comfortable talking about that, but that's, it's one of the reasons that I even thought about even coming on here, is I was like, I'm okay to talk about it enough. And if someone can learn from my genuine mistakes, like to stop them putting so much emphasis on a previous mistake and like letting that try to like ruin them, like allowing it to continue to ruin them, then like that can be a good thing. If it even helps one person, I'll be like cool with that.
Yeah. So leading up to that, do you think there's anything that could have been said to you that would have stopped you from making that decision?
I would like to think yes, but being accountable with myself, knowing how fucking stubborn and sure of myself I can be, like once I get a thought in my head, I'm pretty one-track minded. So I don't think I cannot personally think of anything someone could have said to me. The only thing that would have stopped me would have been like, my wife and kid coming out to the car, like while I was trying to do it in the middle of the night and like confronting me. Short of that, I don't think anything would have stopped me.
None of the, I know it's a bit of a controversial topic amongst people that are actually struggling, but that are you okay? And, somebody actually sitting down and going, hey man, you're not looking too good.
I think that are you okay is great. I just don't know if necessarily it's for everyone.
I think it's like the wording, like if it's just a payoff, are you okay? Yeah, of course.
There's no follow-up.
No. But if you sit down and you genuinely care about somebody and go, hey man, you're looking a bit, down these days.
I think it's really hard for like veterans and stuff because even when we have such a macabre black humor like that, you don't want to be a burden. That's kind of my sense of why I went down that. And so the very notion of having to talk to someone makes that a burden, makes you more of a burden. And that means, are you okay? The only thing I would say about it, it's very easy to lie. And on top of that, when you grow up in, less than ideal circumstances, the one thing you get very fucking good at is fibbing and lying and hiding the truth and like saying what the person that you're talking to wants to hear. And, like I learned that from my mother very quickly of like, whatever's going to keep her emotionally regulated is what I'm going to say. Like, where are you going tonight? I'm going to my friend Kane's house. Okay. Meanwhile, I'm going out like drinking at 16 and stuff like that. Like, like whatever's going to keep her calm. And so when someone, because I had people ask me like, are you okay? And I just go, yep. Yeah, I'm good, man. Yeah, I'm struggling, but you know me, like I'm going to keep fighting through. It's all good. Get down low.
Taste of bath.
Yeah, exactly. Take a knee face out. Just all of them, and you just kind of redirect it with humor. So I feel like that doesn't work. But when, like you said, you have someone who genuinely is, not just in the wording, is like, no, I can sense something's a bit weird. Are you genuinely okay? And it can catch you off guard. And I know that because I had a digger of mine commit suicide in 2021 during your platoon. And that shocked us. I wasn't close to him. I'm not going to pretend I was that close with him. But I would never have seen that coming from him. And I wasn't sure if it was actually you. It might have been someone else. It was the night before the Wednesday challenge. And I literally was sobbing in my bivvy from just hearing this news. And I walked up to the picket point. I just went to the recruit that was there, someone in the platoon. I was like, go to bed. Don't wake anyone up. I've got picket for the rest of the night. And I just...
yeah. That wasn't me, but I remember that.
Yeah, and I just...
I thought that was just because you were mad green.
No.
Fucking Corporal Pocock wanted to take my picket.
Yeah, no, I just found out that one of my sappers had died. And so I was just sitting there staring at the stars and then on the phone talking to other diggers and stuff. No one could have seen that coming. And like, you can ask, are you okay? But he would have just like laughed and lied.
Yeah, I don't think I would have. Fucking, it's funny you say the researching different methods because I was exactly the same. Like I'm like, I was like, all right, I'll drive into a bridge pylon on the highway going as like 150. Fuck, what if I live? That'll be way worse because I'll be a fucking cripple or a vegetable.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, I'll jump off something. I'm like, fucking same again. What if I live? Like you see people surviving that shit. And so everything was like, I can't, because what if it doesn't work, and then it's going to be fucking twice as bad because it'll be.
And I mean, for me as well, I was like, I don't want to just disappear either. Like, I want someone to be able, like, I want my family to be able to bury me. So I can't just disappear into the woods and never be found, or like jump off a cliff into the ocean and get swept away, because then I'm just missing. I don't want to leave them with that like unknown, and then that hope that I could. And I feel like that's not to take away like the classic cry for attention, but when you are genuine about something like that, it's not something advertised. It is like very quiet, and you're just sitting there, and I became very nonchalant about it. I'd just be sitting there and I'd be feeling, TV would be on, or I'd be sitting at work and I'd just be Googling like, is there a drug cocktail that is like 100% guaranteed to like not leave me as just a demented cripple or psychotic or whatever? Is there something that's not going to be traumatic to first responders? Because I already know they deal with enough shit. So I don't want to jump in front of a train and let some poor train driver have to deal with that on his conscience. When you care about other people, like you don't want to be selfish with your death. That's kind of the whole point of suicide, I think, is you're tired of feeling like you're being a burden and being selfish. Yeah. That's how I felt, at least.
And that "are you okay" stuff, I would never have admitted it, because I would have always thought nobody would understand.
Yeah, and I don't think anyone can understand an individual level, but you can see common ground. Like you said, like, oh yeah, I get that whole looking up different ways and trying to find the path of least resistance to get there, because you can't really understand every single step. Like with the stuff I've just spoken about, like there's a lot of individual things and little small things in there that led up to it. It's like death by 1,000 cuts. It wasn't this like kind of in the way the media portrays it, where it's just like you have this one really bad day and then you're just like, fuck it, you're out. It's more this overwhelming sense of like, no, this is the most rational choice here. Like, it's not going to get any better. And the longer you leave it, the more of a drain on resources you are.
Yeah, the worse and worse it gets. Like everything that happens is a harder hit than the last one.
Yeah.
So let's just fucking cut it away now.
Yeah, exactly. Like that was my thinking. I was like, I went from being, this to getting my like career my promotion stripped to this, to quitting the army, losing my identity, to losing my job. And now I'm not doing great as a father and a partner. Well, what am I going to fuck next? Well, there's not many items left on the table, not many cards on the table left to play that can be ruined. And one of them is my son. And I'm like, I grew up with really less than ideal male role models. If I'm physically not here, I can't be a bad role model to my son. And that's not something I think that maybe like mothers or other people can understand, or people that don't have kids, is like, how could you leave your kids behind? Like, how could you let yourself get to that? And for me, I wasn't thinking in that sense. I was like, my son would genuinely be better off without me.
Yeah, that's a real common thought process. You're not leaving them behind, you're doing them a favour.
Yeah, I am a black Cancer here, and if I just do the honourable thing and remove myself from the situation completely, then he's going to grow up without me. That's still like light years better than my presence in his life.
Yeah. So on that fucking black cloud note, how did you get from there to here?
I'd been in therapy since I discharged the army. And that's been helping, and I'm still in that. And so I wouldn't say that like I'm like the black cloud's on the horizon kind of thing, like it's in the rearview mirror, but it's still, it's still there. Like I've still got to be very aware of how I view things day to day. The way I've found it is I've found a bit more of a purpose now with my current job. And now my son's kind of getting to an age, like he's 18 months now, where I can genuinely start to interact with him. Like I can play with him. I take him to swimming, and like the time I get to spend with him, like I'm not thinking, I'm just getting to be a dad. And so between that and my work, like I have a reason to still be here. Like I have a positive reason to still be here.
Yeah, I'm feeling fulfillment.
Yeah, I'm getting that not quite what I lost, but I'm getting like a version of it that's giving me that taste of like, okay, you can still do something here. You can still have a positive impact here. And one of the things that my therapist framed it as is, do I think that I deserve to have someone in my corner growing up and throughout the stuff in the army that I went through and my life? Do I believe that I deserve to have someone in my corner to like advocate for me? And I'd be like, yeah. And then she was like, well, what happens if your son grows up and goes through similar struggles? Don't you think that he deserves to have you as his advocate then? I was like, yeah. Yeah, he does. He does deserve that. And just because I didn't get that doesn't mean that I should take that opportunity away from him. So for me, I'm moving away from that space by focusing on less on me and more on him, and being like, what do I want my son to think of me when he's my age? Like, do I want him to be sitting on his podcast being like, oh yeah, I didn't know who my dad was, and or my dad was a piece of shit? Or do I want him to be like, yeah, my dad was a flawed person and he made some mistakes in life, and the main thing was that he stood by me. And that's kind of where I go now. When I'm in a dark place, that's what I try to think of.
Yeah, nice. So your son is your protective mechanism.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, he's a great little dude. He's funny. He's obsessed with music at the moment, so that's always a nice time. He's just loud, screaming, playing drums or playing his guitar. But I'm deaf from the army, so it doesn't bother me in the slightest. I'm just like, yeah, man, rock out. This is great. I'm loving it. So, yeah. What's that tone you're playing? What's that note? Oh, it's not you? Okay.
That's drums, Dad.
Yeah.
You got him into was he 18 months? No, not yet. Not ready for the match yet.
No, not yet. But the moment he turns 3, I'll be. I mean, I'm already rolling. I throw him around on the ground and tumble him and stuff like that, and get him used to it. The moment he's 3, I'll be getting him into it. He does little kickers at the moment, like plays soccer just to get some like hand-eye coordination. His mum does that with him on Thursdays, and swimming. He loves his swimming, which for me is a big deal. Like I said, I didn't know how to swim until I joined the army. So like I was like, he is learning to swim. Like a little bit militaristic about him. Like he is learning to swim like really early. Like from 3 months old, he was in a pool.
I mean, I used to, when I was at the Soldier Recovery Centre working there, I used to take the groups of soldiers, the return to work group, for like pool-based activities. Yeah. And fuck, I used to grip them up for not knowing how to swim. I was like, you live in fucking a country surrounded by water. Sort your fucking life out.
We are begirt by sea. It's in the fucking anthem.
If you're a fucking adult and a soldier in the Australian Army, you don't know how to swim, go fucking get some lessons.
Yeah, I definitely had like some self-hatred things as an RO. Because I was the adamant one for army, like swim tests and stuff. I'd be like, no, give me the boat stick. I want to be the one by the pool, like fending them off, because I was like, I had to suffer, so do you. Like, no, we don't do that anymore.
What was the question we were going to ask before? I asked you before we started, and we'll save that for the pod. Was that about who's got the best fucking? Oh yeah, who's got the best?
Who's the easier to train? I think was the way you might have worded it, between police and army.
Oh, yeah.
It's army get more time. So the police program for where I sit with firearms, it's only 2 weeks long. But at the end of the day, police, they're not expected to be that, like they're not using their firearms that often.
They only do the 9mm?
40 cal. So 10 mil is the QPS issued firearm.
They do any fucking rifles or shotguns or anything as well?
Rifles, yes. Shotguns, we use them as staff, like the inert beanbag ones, and some specialist units. But yeah, rifles as well. So I've done all of those courses. There's a couple of different ones in service. So we have like the Remington R4s, Lithgow ACARs, and a couple of other test rifles that I can talk to you about afterwards. But they are pretty forward thinking about that. So they do get to test. We do get to test things at work quite a bit, and we do get a lot of opportunity for our own professional development. Like I'll say, I thought I was a good rifle, like a good shooting instructor when I was in the army, and I was okay. Like I'd done CSIC, I'd done small arms coaching course, I'd done RI course, I'd done, M4, Glock, and everything you can name on in the army. But pistol shooting is like a very, very technical skill. Like you can't just master it in a day. I was always good enough I could get by standards in CSIC, but I wouldn't call myself a pistol shooter. Within QPS, like the instructors there, like I would consider myself at the lower end of the spectrum of some of the guys there.
Yeah.
And they are amazing. Like I'll show you some videos afterwards of some of the guys that I work with, and you would just be blown away with what they can do with a pistol, like with a Glock as well, like a stock Glock. It's pretty incredible. And so the so what of that is that recruits that are coming through now with Queensland Police, like they are getting genuinely high quality training from really knowledgeable instructors for the most part.
Yeah.
Where they're let down with is just they're not given enough time. Once they leave us, they only fire once a year.
Just for a qualifying shoot.
And one of the things that I'm like really passionate about now as I get older is understanding mechanisms of instruction and technique, like how to instruct. And, a lot of psychology, like they call it the minimum firearms training requirement. It's like, well, by very definition, you've put in the word minimum. Like, what does that do to their mentality when they approach that training each year? Oh, it's the minimum standard. I've just got to get through this. I've just got to do the minimum amount of push-ups on my BFA. It's like, well, that's not really a good mentality to get fit. Like, that's not a good mentality to get proficient with a firearm. So that's where some of the, as an opinion, to be very clear, it's a personal opinion, that's where some of the issues I see are. It's what they do is very good for what they do. Some of the drills that we get them to perform are like world leading. We get them to do vision and doubles, which people in who do a lot of shooting will be familiar with. Like that's stuff that the military are still not adopting. I think from memory, rumors are, I don't know, I have no way of knowing because I've never been out there, but apparently the guys out west are starting to do vision and doubles as part of their shooting continuum stuff.
Yeah, I did that for the first time at the pistol club the other day.
Oh, yeah. Who'd you go with?
You would have done this in the military? I'm like, no, we did not.
Was this the city of Brisbane?
Yeah.
Who'd you do that with? Do you remember their names?
Oh, fuck, what was his name? Oh, no, I can't remember. It was like a tall, skinny dude balding.
Tall, skinny dude balding. Oh, David maybe?
Might have been. I could look it up. David does ring a bell though.
Yeah, because the instructors I'm talking about, they all shoot out of that same club as well. So that little City of Brisbane Pistol Club is like an unofficial Queensland Police instructors like club because you get like cheaper, you get discounted entry and discounted classes and stuff like that. So everyone shoots all day. If I could afford to do it, I would be doing it as well. And then most of the instructors go there on a Tuesday and Wednesday night and keep shooting for fun because we're all a bit crazy with it. So that's vision and doubles. You could probably then say like, how did you find it having never done it before? How did you find it shooting that style?
I was weird at the start, but by the end, it's just so fucking practical, right?
Yeah. I think that's the key is like, it's meant to be a practical type way of shooting.
Yeah.
We find it works a lot better for the police recruits than what the army currently does, which is like the, 1 round at 1 meter and, that sort of crap.
Yeah, that's good. What do you do for happiness, for filling your cup, as they say?
For filling my cup? I don't know if I can say that on this podcast. It's usually alone in my room. But no, I've just gotten back into jiu-jitsu. So through the guys at work, I stopped training due to an injury and just before I had my son, and then also just the mental health stuff. Like I was just too much on my plate, so I stopped training with my gym. But yeah, lately I've gotten back on the mats. We meet twice a week and have a little wrestle with each other as instructors and.
Just with your work group? Yeah,
just with the work group because then it's convenient. I'm already at work anyway, and it's cheap, which is a big driving factor. Mm-hmm. And that's been really helpful for me, like mentally, because it's like that humbling experience of like, yeah, you're still shit, man. You ain't shit. Like, yeah, that's kind of been. I've got to compete for Queensland Police at the 9/11 memorial event. We had like a jiu-jitsu quintet thing, so teams of 5 against the Fireys. I lost, to be very clear, but I just want to go like
against a fiery.
I've got to talk to. Have you had Mick V? No, you haven't had Mick V on yet.
No, apparently he doesn't. He like public speaking.
Actually, that tracks. That makes sense. He's in Fireys, but I got a bone to pick with it because he probably knows the Fiery team really well. Is they were meant to put in a blue belt team of 5, but they only had 2 guys rock up. So their solution was to stack their blue belt team with purple belts. And so, of course, like I get up there and there's this purple belt just flogs the shit out of me. And I'm like, well, that's hardly like the agreement we had for this competition. But sure, okay. And he pulled guard on me and stuff. But
you're a blue belt? Yeah.
Yeah. I'm 4 stripes still up. Terminal. I've never gone for my grading because I quit training. So
you're 4 stripes on your blue belt?
Yeah. And I need to go. But I don't have enough mat time now to like be confident to go for a grading.
Yeah.
But that's my goal is by the end of next year to have that belt just for a personal goal to get.
Yeah. Yeah, I got back into jiu-jitsu recently too because I want something tangible, right? I like fucking achieving like milestones and like I've done Muay Thai for 16 years and I'm just a Muay Thai guy, right? Like there's no, either you're a fucking Muay Thai, you train Muay Thai or you're a Muay Thai fighter. That's really
there's no coloured shorts for you guys.
No, there's nothing. So it's like, yeah, I'm pretty fucking good at it now, but there's nothing to show for it. So I like fucking, I like getting things. And
something you can like hold on to.
Yeah. So I really want to fucking get myself a black belt. I'm a blue belt now too. But like I showed you before, I'm fucking ripping my toes apart.
Yeah, you need to like start pissing on your feet in the showers, mate, or something.
He said that to me yesterday, yeah. So just piss on it, mate. Fucking Bill Callises.
Yeah, just
is that real?
Just ruin your skin for it.
Just fucking take a nail fold my skin off every afternoon.
Yeah, no, it's the worst one for that is I find is like whenever you're doing wrestling or takedowns and you're like, there was a guy who used to be at the gym, Mossy. And he's a real legend. He's an actual genuine fighter. And he ended up doing other special stuff as well. But before all of that, when he was just another combatives guy in the back of like a shitty area gym, we'd do like wrestling and takedowns. And I swear he had like hobbit feet because like the top of his toes and like his ankles were just like thick calluses from like doing like double leg takedowns after one after the other and having them drag along the mats. And I'm like, I want cauliflower ears, not that. That looks fucking horrendous. Like,
I'd rather have cauliflower ears and mangy feet.
Yeah, those feet are fucked, Mossy. You should see a doctor about that.
At least you could put shoes on your feet. You can't fucking hide your cauliflower ears.
I don't want Velcro permanently attached to my fucking feet every time I try to put socks on, Like, it's just not what I envisioned in my life.
Fuck. Embarrassing.
Yeah.
Cool, man. Good chat.
Yeah, cheers. I got a question for you though, just because I'm curious. Like, so how do you see like the burden of instruction? So like, because you're doing a lot of like this podcasting stuff, and like you're imparting knowledge on your audience, either like through your guests or through your own life experience. Like, how do you see the relationship between someone passing information on to another person? Like, do you find it like a spiritual thing at all? Because it's something that I'm starting to like develop a little bit with it, like that generational passing of knowledge sort of mentality.
How do I feel about it?
Yeah, like what are your thoughts on it?
As in like the listeners that are gaining knowledge from the podcast.
Yeah.
My thoughts on it? I think it's important. That I don't know. I remember you actually told me at recruit school, it's if not me, who? If not now, when? Which fucking really stuck with me. But yeah, like I think it's important that somebody does it, and I feel like I'm in a good position to be that person. So I'm proud that I have the ability and gaining the followers that that people are getting something out of the podcast. And I know that a lot of people, like that reel I just put up this week about the feedback that I get, like that was like 4 bits of feedback from fucking hundreds. It's having an impact, and it feels good. Like I feel like I'm helping the community, that I love so much.
Yeah, because you are doing an incredible thing, man. I remember when we caught up a little while ago. Before all of this, you were still working, I think, was it Mates for Mates or?
No, I was working for Acumen as a rehab consultant. Yeah.
Like you always had like this, you had like a real leadership quality about you and that. And like, obviously I was still in at the time a little bit. I was sad to see that you hadn't stuck with the army because I thought you had like a real good like potential in that, especially in the officer stream. And I know you kind of got dicked around with training a little bit as we kept in touch over the years, but like it's nice that you've taken that same trait and you've just found a new creative angle to achieve that. And like for me, like as you know, someone who's known you a little while, maybe not like as deeply, like it is inspiring to see, man, that you've taken that and you've made it work in your own little way. So that's awesome. You should be proud of it.
Yeah, well, that's it. Like I lost, not my faith, but I lost my ability. And you know, the army fucks you around a lot. You fucking first testament to that. But yeah, like it was actually Mates for Mates that derailed the officer stuff because I was supposed to go on my what's it called? TB2. And the day before I left, they're like, no, we can't let you go. I'm like, what do you mean you can't let me go? I'm fucking panelled for the course. And they're like, no, it's not. Like, it's not compulsory. We're not letting you go. And so I had to fucking, you know, unpanel myself, which my chain of command fucking loved.
Yeah, like, who the fuck's this lid unpaneling himself? Yeah.
And then I never fucking then I was working at Soldier Recovery and decided to just go back OR and work at the recovery centre and artillery, which I enjoyed, but sort of the officer stream got derailed, and then I was like, just fucking. Follow the bouncy ball of wherever that led to my career. And then, saw this opportunity and thought, fucking, this was a great way to give to the community and still feel like I'm part of, you know, the bigger picture of the whole scene.
Yeah, get to meet some cool people as well. So
that's it. Live vicariously through the stories of others.
Yeah, laugh at everyone. So.
There's some funny times, some hard times. But yeah, like you said, if my story can help one person, which I'm sure it will, and it, that flow and effect of the other people that fucking get helped as well, it's gives me a lot of fulfillment.
Yeah,
and purpose.
Nice, man.
Cheers,
it's been fun. I'm glad I did this. This is it's an odd experience, but I'm glad that you kind of like slowly chipped away at me. So. I appreciate it.
Yeah. I noticed on that last text message you were very inquisitive. I was like, are you
Yeah, when you first said it, I was like,
starting to think about it?
No, mate, that's not me. I've got nothing no one wants to hear. And then it was mostly after I watched your one, I was like, okay, all right, I can see something of value in this a little bit more than just, you know, trying to hide from things a little bit. So I appreciate it. Thank you for the opportunity.
No worries, bro. Thanks for coming on.
Cheers, mate.
Good chat.
Bye.
Bye, guys.